Prologue 1. Valleys lay wasted, mountains destroyed. Volcanoes erupted. No signs of life anywhere. Thundering clouds cover the skies in the most gruesome of ways, forming figures that would remind one of the crying faces of their loved ones. Destruction, one word for it. Complete and utter annihilation of the peaceful place that was once the playing ground of two young children, an area equal to or slightly larger than a country, would be a better description of the jealousy-fueled argument turned into an all-out battle between the two sons of the Sage of the Six Paths. There we see, clashing with all their might, Indra and Asura Otsutsuki, both donning their respective avatars. Susanoo, the giant purple constructive chakra in the form of a traditional samurai, having 4 arms and 2 swords, currently in the process of trying to take the head off of a giant fox, which brings us to Asura currently in his battle avatar using the chakra of the tailed beasts to form a giant gold fox. Also with 4 arms and a number of tails that neither of them cared to count. Currently in the process of ducking under the said sword strike and countering with a mean right jab that sent the Susanoo skidding back. This cycle of repeated hitting and dodging equally on both sides had been going on for a long while. If you could ask any creature, which survived, they would state that this domestic feud has been going on for more than 3 days. Neither of them willing to give up, fighting to the best of their abilities. One with the intentions of killing his little brother, whereas the other with the willingness to snap my idiot of an elder brother out of the unite the whole world under fear of my power spree. What brought this on, you may ask? Flashback. Here we see Hagoromo Otsutsuki, laying on his deathbed after choosing his successor as Asura. Said person horrified for 2 reasons. 1. The apparent no-good son of the sage and smaller brother to the prodigy of the family has been unexpectedly announced as the heir. 2. The said person's prodigal elder brother had just stormed out of the house, right after their father died. Possibly due to the sadness, but somewhere deep down, he thought, that might have had something to do with the change in the obvious choice of the heir. Anyways, Asura still didn't understand the reason for change in the choice for heir. Indra was the one who was always the better person. Of course, if you put aside his ever-present brooding nature and his lack of favor for and skills in socialism, he was the better choice. But their father believed in him, the cheerful yet idiotic Asura, and his way of understanding people and working together with them, thus made him the heir. This annoyed Indra to no end. That's why we find Indra trying to kill his brother for the position of the heir. Indra inherited Hagoromo's eyes, his powerful chakra, dojutsu, and spiritual energy, and was therefore hailed as a prodigy even by his father's standards. He also wielded a sword showing his great aptitude for kenjutsu. He had long brown hair cut short on top. 2 locks wrapped in bandages framed either side of his face. His eyebrows were cut short, a symbol of his nobility, and his eyes had blue markings around them, which were turned up at the corners. Currently, he is wearing a full-body battle armor. He possessed a derived form of his grandmother's dojutsu, the Sharingan. Thus, he could observe the flow of chakra, pay great attention to detail, and accurately predict a person's movements. As a in-release user, he could presumably use his Sharingan for genjutsu. In time, he also awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. With it, he unlocked the ability to use Susanoo. Asura, who was taken aback with the sudden appearance of Indra and his attempt to kill him, was the other part of their father. He was originally very unskilled. Over the years, however, he proved himself a late bloomer as through grueling hard work and dedication, Asura awakened his own inherited power. His father's body, powerful life force and physical energy, granting him power on par with his genius older brother, Indra. He was also a capable leader, obtaining countless loyal followers, which of course included the tailed beasts. And from there started the battle between the 2 sons of the Sage of the Six Paths, who himself was hailed as a god for defeating the rabbit goddess, or, as he used to call her, mother, along with his brother Hamura Otsutsuki. Why the rabbit goddess, also known to the world as Kagaya Otsutsuki, attacked her sons? Well, she simply got greedy after witnessing her chakra passing on to her sons. Anyways, that was the start of the would-be battle for ages. Flashback ends. The battle concluded when the fighters met for a final clash. It is said that when 2 high-level fighters clash, they don't need to speak their thoughts. They understand each other through the emotions relayed by each attack. Why? Why do this? Indra Oni-san? The words seeming to fill a strange silence in the void that surrounded them both. To unite the world. Together, under my power. To make it a place where there would be no sorrow, no pain. Indra replied. Stop with this bullshit. I can see it in your eyes. Oni-san, they are hollow words. Because I know you would never follow in Grandma's footsteps. Tell me why. If not for my sake, then for the sake of our father. For the sake of our bond. For the happy times we spent as a family, tell me, because I know this isn't you, Oni-san. This is not the older brother who used to carry me on his back when I was hurt. This is not the one who would fuss over my every little problem. This is not you. There was silence. Then, with a sudden jolt, Asura opened his eyes to witness his hand through the chest of Indra. Indra's body twitching ever so slightly, but a strange yet proud smile on his face. Then Indra opened his eyes to gaze into Asura's with his familiar swirl-patterned mangekyo. He says, You are right, Otudo. You always were. It was me who was the fool. And with that, the surroundings around Asura change and turn into one of darkness with a pool of water at their feet. Zetsu Indra says, The name of the creature who manipulated me. He is the incarnate of Grandma and will not stop at any length to revive her. You mustn't let that happen. This battle that we started won't be finishing anytime soon. Our descendants will undoubtedly avenge each other and a thirst for blood will generate. All due to my fault. So as Repentition, I am giving you the last remains of what's left of my power. Use it well, Asura. And promise me that you will use that joke for a brain that you have to find a way to stop him and bring an end to this chain of hatred that I started. Indra finished with a smile. Ashura's eyes filled up with unshed tears. You never leave an opportunity to belittle me, don't you? He finished with a laugh choked with tears. But rest assured, Ani-san, I won't let that happen. You were the clever of us both anyways. He finished with a sarcastic smile, albeit one hidden among the sadness and grief now present on his face. With that, the surroundings change back and Asura falls back beside his brother. Using the last remains of what power he had left, he combined his own with that of Indra and managed to reconstruct his father's astral presence. The sage just smiled sadly and replied, It was my fault that drove Indra to the edge, that this battle ensued. No words are needed, my young one. I will wait for the ones that Gamamurchan spoke of and pass on your will to them. Saying that, the sage disappeared, leaving Asura in the now wasteland, already shedding tears for the lives that Indra's and his own descendants are going to take because of their mistake. And with that starts the era of the warring clans. Descendants of Asura were known as Senju and Uzumaki, and the ones of Indra were known as Uchiha. The two strongest clans in the world that started a feud that later spread to the entire world and engulfs all of it. Several clans that were given chakra as ninshu by the sage converted it into ninjutsu to fight their battles on a devastatingly larger scale than before. Prologue 2. As the time passed, Indra and Asura transmigrated into their descendants, who fought in the wars and were recognized as gods with the amount of power they possessed. One pair of such transmigrations were Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Though clearly not as strong as Asura and Indra, they were held as the most powerful shinobi alive. They started out as friends who had lost their brothers and found comfort with each other. Even though each didn't know the other's clan name, Senju and Uchiha, they played, trained, and grew up together. After a while, the inevitable happened and they were sent plummeting into the warhole due to their families revealing themselves. So they started having battles here and there. Not the casual spars that one would expect from such statement, but all-out fight-to-kill battles. Hagoromo's spirit, having a firm belief on them both, held out a hand of hope. He waited for their supposed final battle and to tell them of their ancestors' legacy. For this to happen, the sage had already decided to pass on the knowledge of sage mode to Hashirama because of Ashura's chakra that clung to him, though anonymously. Eventually they ended up having an all-out battle with Hashirama using his wood golem and Madara using his perfect Susanoo, after which Madara was defeated. But Hashirama, being the kind-hearted fellow he was, begged him to create an alliance with him to make their vision, one that they both saw during their time as friends, come true. and so the village hidden in the leaves was born. But the peace didn't sit well with the shinobi world. Hashirama was elected the first Hokage and Tobirama, his younger brother, was supposed to be the next. This concerned Madara towards the well-being of his clan and their status in the village, as Madara trusted Hashirama with his life, but not Tobirama, as he was the one who killed Izuna Uchiha, Madara's little brother. So Madara left, trying to convince Hashirama that their vision of a village was a failure. He left on his own and returned with the Kyuubi in his control and fought Hashirama. But him being the successor of Asura and thus being the stronger one, fought them both using his wood release and sage mode and managed to subdue the Kyuubi and having his wife Mito become the first Jinchuriki of Kyuubi in the process. Madara lost and was supposedly killed by Hashirama, the latter of whom claiming that he will not let any harm come to his village. Thus, the sage lost his chance once again and, though grievingly waited for the children of the prophecy to step into this world. But as fate would have it, or rather Zetsu would, the world was not yet free of Madara. He survived using an Uchiha Kenjutsu Izanagi, a technique which has the power to convert any real situation into a dream but at the cost of a Sharingan eye, using the Mangekyo to activate in the event of his death. He was rescued by Black Zetsu, who claimed that he was Madara's will incarnate. Madara, having believed the Zetsu, proceeds to bring out his contingency plan and implants a piece of Hashirama's flesh that he bit off of him during their battle into his own body. In his dying age, his eye healed and he managed to awaken the Rinnegan, using that to summon the demonic statue of the outer path or the Gerumazo and supplying himself with its life force. And with that, he bided his time, waiting for an opportunity to set his plans in motion for world peace. Meanwhile, Hashirama continued to lead his village and it prospered in the land of fire. Several other clans joined them and the village grew. Getting scared by the power of the growing village, other countries too established their own ninja villages, namely, villages hidden in the stone, the Wagakure, in the earth country, sand, Sunagakure, in the wind country, cloud, Kimogakure, in the lightning country, and mist, Kirigakure, in the water country. These were the only ones to have a Kage as the village head. Several small hidden villages also surfaced within this time, like Takigakure, Amigakure. Although they did not hold a big influence in the world, they were run like any hidden village with a Kage of their own. Then came the first 5 Kage summit, during which Hashirama managed to convince the other 4 Kages to sign the first peace treaty by giving them tailed beasts which he captured after witnessing the disaster caused by the Kyuubi. But the peace was again not long held. After the death of Hashirama, Tobirama held up the mantle of Hokage as the Naidame. He wasn't a monster in battle like his father, but he was a hell of a researcher, using his skills to create new jutsus, as well as he was held as the most powerful water release user in history. His almost unmatched sensory skills provided more. During his reign, the Second Great War broke out, during the end of which he died, giving up the position of the Sandaime, third Hokage, to Hiruzen Sarutobi. Sarutobi was a prodigy and was known as the Professor for his analytical skills and his mastery of all the 5 elements. He was hailed as the god of shinobi of his time and had fought in both of the first wars and also braved the village through a third one. During the Third Great War, another individual surfaced who made a name for himself by perfecting the Naidame's jutsu. The Hiraishin created several of his own, most noteworthy being the Rasengan, and used his abilities to slaughter 300 of Iwa's soldiers on his own in a matter of seconds, earning himself the name of Yellow Flash. This man, who earned himself a flea on sight order, trained by one of the students of the Sandaime himself, was later chosen as the Yondaime, fourth Hokage, for his efforts in the war. Enter Minato Namikaze, Yondaime Hokage. An eminent Hokage, people's favorite. He was somewhat of a celebrity during the first days of his promotion. But as all good things come to an end, his happy life also came to an abrupt halt. And that's not speaking about the literal mountains of paperwork that came with the position or the fact that he was about to enter fatherhood due to his wife being pregnant with twins. No, it was due to the fact that during Kushina's delivery, a masked assailant silently entered the barrier-protected and unguarded secret place of her delivery and managed to separate Kushina from him. Now, why would a normal delivery be guarded like that? Well, that was due to the fact that Kushina was an Uzumaki like Mito and was thus bought from Uzushio, before its destruction during the Second War, to Konoha to become the second Jinchuriki to the Kyuubi. It is a known fact that while giving birth, the seal on a female Jinchuriki weakens as the power of the seal is transferred to the child. Somehow the masked assailant knew of this whole affair and managed to take Kushina away from Minato right after her giving birth to the two babies who were later used as hostage to sway the Jinchuriki away from Yondaime. He managed to free the Kyuubi using the Sharingan and used it to wreak havoc on Konoha. Minato arrived and managed to free the Kyuubi from the assailant's hold. The latter, who called himself Madara, was then forced to flee from the place after being defeated by the Yondaime. Minato now arrived with Kushina and Naruto, the twin sister as they had named her, to the place where Minato had teleported the Kyuubi mere seconds before using his Hiraishin. The Kyuubi, who was now free of the influence from the masked man, was currently being subdued by Sandaime and his most trusted shinobi. When a tailed beast is extracted from a Jinchuriki, they die. But Minato was not going to let that happen to his wife. So he formed the hand seals for the Shiki Fuin or the Reaper Death Soul consuming seal to cut half of the chakra of the Kyuubi into Kushina and the other half into Naruto. Doing this would kill him for obvious reasons, as the Shinigami, who is summoned during the said seal, would take his soul in exchange. But alas, there arrived the one and only self-proclaimed super pervert, one of the legendary Sannin and the great Toad Sage Jiraiya. Or as Minato called him, Jiraiya-sensei. Jiraiya bonked Minato on his head, knocking him out cold before he could finish the last hand sign. Then he, along with Sarutobi, managed to seal the Kyuubi into Kushina and Naruto using the Hakufuin, saving the former's life and turning the latter into the Jinchuriki for another half of the Kyuubi. Thus the plan of the masked assailant, now known as Madara, failed and peace was restored to Konoha. Despite several losses of life and the amount of destruction caused, Namikaze Minato was happy that he was able to save what was most precious to him: his wife, his daughter Naruto, and his son. Wait. He forgot about Naruto too. The Yondaime shouted at top of his lungs, sitting upright on his hospital bed. Kushina, who was sleeping beside him, how she managed to do that on the single bed, he would never know, was startled and woke up. "Shhh," she said. "You will wake them up." She points to the little bundles of blue and pink sleeping in the crib peacefully. "He was bought by that pervert of a sensei of yours right after he dropped us off to the hospital." She finished sighing. To hell with the fighting and killing on the battlefield. Minato Namikaze was a worrywart at home and as cuddly as a bear on the inside. But it was why she loved him. Minato sighed contentedly. His family was the best thing that happened to him. During the Second War, he had lost his father and became an orphan as his mother died soon after he was born. What was worst, he didn't even inherit his father's bloodline, the steel release, which was a combination of earth, wind, and lightning release. But his father never really held it against him. "It was the genes, nothing there is that you can do about it," his father would say. A funeral was held in the honor of those who passed on during the Kyuubi's attack. Naruto's status was not revealed to anyone. Hiruzen had to take up the office during the off time that Minato requested to be with his family. Though Hiruzen suspected this was partially to escape from the mountain dwarfing amounts of paperwork that was now laying around in his office. "Seriously, Kyuubi, was it too much to ask for one of your claws to rip this room from the office?" Sarutobi thought. Somewhere in a resort in the land of springs, a mother and a daughter sneezed at the same time. "Someone is missing me and Naruko-chan," Kushina thought, confused. Two giants orange foxes sitting inside the two said people were having similar thoughts. Time skip 4 years. 4 years passed and Minato was proving to be a capable Hokage, as he and Hiruzen had successfully prevented a coup d'etat by the Uchiha, who were honestly just tired of the suspicions due to seclusion from the times of the Nidaime and the rumor that it was an Uchiha who set the Kyuubi free. The only casualty was an Uchiha elder who was the instigator of the rumors, the little extra weight who ticked them off, executed by Fugaku himself. But in doing so, he was not able to spend much time with his family. Kushina took it well and was released from the hospital just 2 days after the attack. She started to look after her family and accepted the fact that Minato was busy due to his Hokage duties. Since Naruto was the Jinchuriki of Ninetails, she was constantly checked over by Jiraiya and Minato and Kushina as well. Little did they know that favoritism was never healthy, be it between students or children, intentional or non-intentional. and their small negligence of their son Naruto was going to cause serious repercussions in the future. Could never be easy for a single parent to raise their children alone. But how would Kushina even know? Chapter 1. But this was not a problem that would stretch for a long time. The reason being, well, since Hinata and Sasuke's mothers, Hisa and Makoto respectively, would see her and speak of her condition to their husbands, Hayashi and Fugaku. Not that they themselves didn't do anything to ensure that the message reached the Hokage. Glaring a little at him whenever he happened to be in his house and subtly trying to hint him of the predicament that his wife was in. Both Hayashi Hyuga and Fugaku Uchiha were good friends to the Hokage, separately though, due to their dojutsu rivalry and whatnot. So after showing a bit of reluctance, they eventually agreed to have a little talk with the Hokage no Minato Namikaze, the person they grew up with. And Minato was dumbstruck, right down horrified. And at the end of the explanation, from both Hayashi and Fugaku, he was disgusted with himself. How could he be so blind to the woman he loved the most? But Minato Namikaze was a practical man and saw no good in just sitting there and grieving. So later that night, after all the occupants of the house had apparently gone to sleep, we find Minato high-shining to his house, more precisely their bed, and startling his wife by kissing the brains out of her. Then he rested his forehead against hers and looked into her eyes and just stayed like that for some time. Kushina eventually got the matter. She acknowledged his silent apology and forgave him with one last kiss before they went to sleep while embracing each other. The damage, however, was already done. Naruto, the little boy, was constantly, though not intentionally, ignored by his mother. All due to the fact that his sister was special, as his mother would say. He never got that. Wasn't he also special? Wasn't he also his mother's precious little child? Don't get her wrong. She loved both her children. But Naruto was always a little more cute and a little more jumpy than her brother, much like Kushina was when she was her age. So Kushina had to constantly divert her attention to her little Naruto. And 4-year-old Naruto was by now used to this seclusion. He would often ask his mother with the best puppy dog eyes that he could manage, "Please play with me too, Ka-chan," and Kushina would melt. But the effect was not everlasting. She would eventually turn to Naruto again. Minato, now here, also started to follow her example. More so because he felt obliged to partake in all of her activities as a form of repentance for leaving her alone. But he always played that extra minute with Naruto, spend that little extra time tucking him in for the night, all due to the fact that Naruto seemed to be an almost replica of himself when he was a child. This resulted in Naruto to look forward to see his father home every night. Not that it was a bad thing, right? I mean, a little boy loved to see his father home, even if it was for a few hours before going to sleep. There's nothing wrong with that. But Kushina failed to notice that less excitement in his eyes during the whole day. Time skipped 2 years. Now we find little Naruto 6 years old. He was sitting on a little swing that his parents put up for him and his sister, holding a rust-colored book in his hands. His face was currently one of loneliness and broody like a certain Uchiha from Canon Universe. What brought this on? Well, 6 years of continuously being compared to your sibling, having your parents focus their attention on her rather than you would do that to a person. Though he never held it against them. His parents had revealed to them the cause of Naruto getting special treatment. Naruto had run off to the woods for a complete day and no one was able to find her. In the end, Naruto had somehow managed to find her. She had been crying the whole day. Naruto was able to comfort her by letting her cry into his chest, all the while whispering soothing things into her ears and telling her that, "It's okay, and we love you all the same." Yes, he understood that being a Jinchuriki was a dangerous job and being a parent to them was rather demanding. He loved his sister the most in the world, but a little extra time for him would certainly not be that difficult to arrange, would it? If one would care to follow him and observe, they would think that he is a little bit too mature for his age, with the understanding, the acceptance for his current state, and even the manner with which he addressed people. Overall, he was a polite young boy who was caring, respectful, and cute. Exactly the material for old ladies to fuss over and to be posed as an ideal child for their children and grandchildren to look up to. But he didn't care about all that. All he wanted was attention and love from his family. Not that he didn't have it, but a little more that he craved. With blonde hair, a square jaw, and an attire with a kite symbolizing the Namikaze clan on his back, he looked exactly like a mini Minato, resulting in people instantly recognizing him as Son of the Yellow Flash or Namikaze-sama. He never liked those names. It was like he was always walking in his father's shadow. If not for the whiskers, he would look exactly like Minato did when he was younger, were some of the constant reminders that people would give him of his parentage. This affected him dually. His respect for his father grew, but it also developed a sort of annoyance towards him. Also, though as a side effect, he grew an extreme liking for his whiskers and would often display them with pride, like a lion showing off his mane. Although he never could figure out what they exactly were. Currently, he was sitting on that swing brooding due to another one of the rejections by his parents of his request for them to train him too, like Naruto. By now, it was a common occurrence and Naruto paid no mind to it. Whenever he wanted to learn anything, he would have to search his clan's library for a scroll on that and then find an off-duty jonin to teach him that skill. One of the perks of being son to the Hokage was that people didn't usually reject you for anything less than extremely important. But he knew that it was all just to get into his father's good books. Well, he would take any opportunity that he could get his hands on. As a result, his taijutsu was already genin level thanks to spars with a bushy-browed, bowel-cut-haired, green spandex-clad youthful jonin and a mini clone of his. His ninjutsu was also at genin level as he knew a good number of jutsus but was not extremely proficient in any of them due to a certain silver-haired umbu who was the epitome of laziness. Genjutsu, he never paid any serious thought to that. Fuinjutsu, that accounted of the only help he had received from his parents in his small life. Each time he would scream at top of his lungs for some training, his parents would hand him a book on Fuinjutsu. But as he got older, he knew where those books were kept and would take one of them. As of now, he was at Fuinjutsu level 3, nothing short of a miracle for a 6-year-old because most jonins never got higher than level 2, which covers the basic storage and explosive seals. Since there was no Fuinjutsu teacher available to him, he mostly practiced by himself in that art. Back in the present, though, he decided to let off some steam by one of his walks through the town, which would finally end up on the top of Hokage Mountain, specifically the head of the Shodame. This was a major calmer for him. He always felt at ease there. While walking by the stream, he noticed a boy of around his age, dark hair and onyx eyes. If this wasn't an indicator enough, the white-red fan on his back made it clear that this was the fresh harvest of emos from the Uchiha clan. He didn't hate them, just didn't like the stick. No, that's too short, the freaking tree lodged up their backs. Sasuke, the said boy, noticed the son of the Hokage, while just about to return from his walk, looking towards him. "Hello," Sasuke said politely but nobly to the blonde. This was a strange yet pleasant surprise for young Naruto to see an Uchiha that was not a stuck-up idiot. "Hi," Naruto greeted. "What's your name?" he questioned back. "Sasuke. And yours?" Naruto was the reply that Sasuke got. The next few minutes were spent exchanging pleasant airs. They shared each other's views on public, their stupidity. They discussed about their families and Sasuke was busy praising his Itachi and Ai-san and Shursui, whereas Naruto was the same with Naruko and a bit on Kakashi too. They even discussed about their lives and they each found out about the living up to the expectations problems they each got courtesy of their respective parents and siblings. Though they didn't know why, but they enjoyed each other's presence. Eventually, the topic of discussion turned to training. "I am trained by Shursui and Itachi and Ai-san," Sasuke said. "Why? Don't your parents teach you?" Naruto asked confused. Sasuke hesitated for a few moments before he spoke. "No, father is always too busy training an Ai-san. He rarely has time for me and whenever he does, let's just say it ends with me panting on the ground with little to no advancement and father leaving with a remark about how I should be more like Itachi. It's always about Itachi with him. Itachi this, Itachi that. Why couldn't you be more like Itachi? It's as if every time he looks at me, all he sees is a mistake that was foolish of him to commit." Finished Sasuke with a slight grimace. Naruto was shocked. Sasuke's situation was practically the same as his, though his parents didn't express it verbally, but each time they had sent him away, their thoughts were clear. clear enough that he could imagine himself listening to them saying these words while sending him off to train on his own. He felt sad for Sasuke as he too would have gone through the loneliness in his life. But secretly he felt happy that he was not alone and decided to be open about his family too. My parents are the same, with Naruto taking up most of their time. Sasuke was just about ready to hear his sympathies, as he had heard from many would-be fangirls their age, but was caught off guard with Naruto's statement. Slowly, Sasuke risked a glance at his friend. His eyes were a display of unshed tears, pain and determination, much too similar to the eyes that gazed back at him from the mirror each morning. "So you too, huh?" Sasuke said. It was more of a statement than a question. They gazed out to the village that seemed so little before them, from the head of the shodaime that they both found themselves on. "Yup," Naruto replied. "They just don't understand, do they? Always comparing. Naruto was more active than me when we were toddlers and would take up most of their time, as well as showed just a tiny bit more stamina than me. That was the fissure point. They paid more attention to her. Then the comparisons started. And now, they would just assume that she's better than me in almost everything and don't even bother to train me anymore." Nothing more was said as they just sat there enjoying the sunset, the silence, and each other's company. "It's getting late. I have to get back. See you later. Same time?" Sasuke asked. Naruto nodded and asked, "Tomorrow?" Sasuke nodded, to which Naruto replied with a smile, "I'll look forward to it." And with that, Sasuke left. Naruto sat down on the head of the shodaime for a little while and eventually left for his home with a smile. He knew tomorrow was going to be an interesting day. Later at home, Naruto walks in with a smile and an unusual excitement in his step. Naruto just waves and welcomes him home, to which Naruto flashes his bright smile as acknowledgement. Kushina peeps out of the kitchen to see her son running upstairs. Normally, she would have shrugged it off, but something about that smile that Naruto displayed earlier was different. It was not one of his regular ones that would sweet a young, noble, and well-mannered boy. There was something more real about it, infectious, as Kushina caught her lips tugging upwards slightly. Minato came home late that night, mumbling incoherently about giant mountains of paperwork and stupid single-minded civilians who couldn't even scratch their own ass without ninja helping them. He opened the refrigerator and found his dinner cold as heck. So after heating it up with a small katan, he ate his dinner in a weird silence. Something about darkness and silence in his own house seemed to bother him and would always encourage him to finish up his work early. He went upstairs after finishing up and laid down on the bed beside his wife. Said woman yawned, which Minato still found to be rather amusing, and slowly opened a single eye to see her husband next to her. She snuggled up to him and mumbled something. Minato, not being able to catch what was said, just asked dumbly, "What?" Kushina pulled her head out of his shoulder to find Minato looking straight into her eyes. Something about those cerulean orbs always seemed to mesmerize her. So she forgot about her little concern related to Naruto and just kissed him on the cheek and fell asleep again. Minato just chuckled slightly so as to not wake his wife again and closed his eyes. Neither of them noticed the light left on in Naruto's room. The said person was busy practicing calligraphy for his fuinjutsu skills. It is a rather important aspect of fuinjutsu that, if mastered, could easily make you proficient in seals, or could just as easily make them blow up in your face and turn you into a bloody mess of flesh and brain matter. Not a good way to go. So keeping up with his calligraphy had become something sort of a routine exercise for Naruto. He would do it whenever he was bored or when he was injured and could no longer train. It was a good time pass. Something which our blonde seriously needed due to the fact that his excitement of meeting with Sasuke was not going to let him sleep anytime soon. After mindlessly scribbling for about an hour or so, sleep caught up to him. Tomorrow would be eventful were his last thoughts before he drifted off to sleep. The next day, Naruto followed his regular schedule of waking up at 3:30, washing himself, preparing and having a quick bite. Then he left to train with his youthful taijutsu sensei and his apprentice, the duo of which start their training at 4. After 3 hours of mindless training and Naruto turning into a writhing mess later, he leaves to find a certain silver-haired Umbu, who can usually be found spending time at the memorial stone and still refuses to reveal his name, for his ninjutsu practice. Another 3 hours later, He limps to the Ichiraka Ramen to have his breakfast. This shop was run by a father-daughter pair named Tucci and Ayam respectively. They are some of the only people who seem to understand his problems and treat him like they would any normal citizen. Well, as normal as someone in case of Naruto can be. The blonde was a literal bottomless pit when it came to ramen, or as he would call it, food of the gods. If you ever wanted to win a bet against an Akimichi in terms of food, bring them to the Ichiraka stand for some one-on-one with Naruto. Kozaru, Chose's, clan head of the Akimichi's, brother, would ascertain that fact as he had lost, on multiple occasions, against this little ramen-eating monster and had to wear a small flag depicting Naruto standing victorious over him with ramen in the background. It was a depressing experience for the said Akimichi who had vowed to someday beat him at his own game. While wandering through the village, Naruto came across the academy, a place he would have to enroll in the next year. So he decided to inspect his to-be learning place and started to comb through the place room by room. He saw the classrooms, the storage rooms for weapons, and training grounds. It was a Sunday, so there was no one to bother him, not counting the birds sitting on the tree outside which would occasionally chirp to make themselves known. As his tour of the academy came to an end, he found himself in the forest behind the training grounds of the academy. It was a little weird to find a training ground in the academy when all they did there was throw shurikens and kunais at the stumps and once a week spars that would be done inside a small circle, something that he found out from his fellow taijutsu student Lee. Seriously, what is the point in having an entire field for that? Naruto asked no one in particular, but got a response in the form of a pained scream. His sensitive ears picked up the frail noise and instantly pinpointed its origin. Came from the woods behind him. So, to help the person in need, Naruto took off in that direction. He suddenly stopped as he came across a trio of children surrounding a much smaller girl, who by the looks of it was around his age. They were harassing her and calling her the Byakugan freak. Not just that, but accusing the girl to be thinking that she was better than them. None of this was Naruto able to picture the little girl doing. Her face was too innocent for that. But he knew better than to judge a book by its cover. His doubts, however, were gone when he heard a faint, "Forgive me." It came from the said girl whose voice was now trembling. One of the bullies was about to hit her again when suddenly Naruto arrived holding the bully's hand in a vice grip. His hair were covering his eyes, which gave him a shady look. The group was taken aback. "Let her go." Naruto spoke with contained anger and leaked a small amount of killing intent. Flashback. The masked Umbu with the silver gravity-defying hair was as usual training Naruto in their regular training grounds. It was another one of the speed and agility training that the Scarecrow was so fond of. Naruto, however, was slacking today. He was tired of the morning practice and wanted to do some jutsu training. Not that he didn't get any, but it was still not to his liking. Kakashi, however, noticed it and decided to teach Naruto a lesson to never slack off in his training. To do that, he started to radiate a small amount of Ki. Naruto instantly froze. Seeing that, Kakashi slowly started to increase his Ki to the point when Naruto was throwing up. "Wah! Someone! Help! Me!" was all Naruto could say. He was suddenly forced from casually jumping and avoiding obstacles to lean over and puke his entire stomach out, barely suppressing the desire need to just crawl away and die in a hole somewhere. Kakashi walked over to him and sat beside him, still reading his orange book. "That, my little pup, is killing intent, the power to force your will onto any others. All Chunin and above know how to do it. It instills a feeling of fear in the intended target and forces them to give in." Kakashi spoke in a monotone. "This is something that you will have to face as a ninja. In fact, Ki alone can help you complete many missions. Like when you have to kill some weak-willed politician, you can just end his life by suddenly producing a large amount of it and making his heart stop in mere seconds. Something that Umbu make great use of." By now, he had dropped his Ki and Naruto was standing on his feet, something which surprised Kakashi. Though what came next, Kakashi would have never expected. "Let's do that again," were Naruto's words filled with bravery. Kakashi could understand Naruto's reasoning as soon as he said it. The boy wanted to be able to hold his own against Ki. Well, he would get what he wanted. Kakashi wasn't called a sadist by his fellow Umbu for nothing. And so, in time, Naruto learned how to give out Ki of his own. End flashback. This sudden declaration mixed with a small amount of Ki was enough for the bully to piss himself and pass out. The other two, however, just came at him as the Ki was not directed at them. Fools. None of them knew how to fight, nor had any brains if one of them passing out right in front of them was any indicator as they still tried to fight. Keyword tried. Naruto easily weaved through their hastily thrown punches and occasional kicks and knocked them both out with an elbow to each of their solar plexus while he swiftly twisted between them. No major injury caused. Targets nullified. It was swift, clean, and precise, just as his Inu-masked Umbu-sensei had taught. Then he turned around to face the mop of blue hair who was just looking at him with wide, pale, pupil-less eyes, something which he found extremely beautiful. The girl was also blushing and muttered something inaudible. "What?" was Naruto's reply as he didn't get that. "Thank you," the girl said again, blushing a little. Naruto just smiled brightly at her, showing his complete spotless dental, and gave her his hand. The girl's blush just grew a deeper shade of red as she stood up. "It was no problem," Naruto said. "What's your name?" he asked. The girl again blushed and replied, Hinata Hyuga. Naruto seemed thoughtful for a second and then spoke, "So that's why you look familiar. You are the daughter of Hayashi Hyuga, right? The current clan head of the Hyuga. I've met your father a few times when he comes to visit my dad." Naruto spoke cheerfully. Hinata blushed again at his cheerful voice and just nodded with a hi. "Well, my name is Naruto Namikaze," he spoke again. Hinata's eyes grew wide again as his look stuck home. "How come I didn't notice it before? He looks exactly like the yondaime." It's nice to meet you and Namikaze-sama." Hinata spoke in the well-mannered tone like she had been taught. Naruto shrugged at this and said, "Just Naruto will do." "Okay, Naruto-kun," said Hinata and blushed again. Ko, who had been watching the duo for the duration of this conversation, intervened now and bowed. "You have my sincerest thanks and of the Hyuga clan for helping Hinata-sama. But I'm afraid we have to take leave now. Hayashi-sama must be expecting us." Saying that, he took Hinata's hand and Hinata spoke in a hurried voice, "Thank you," to Naruto and left. Naruto just stared dumbly at the exchange that took place. He didn't even get the guy's name who had just suddenly appeared, thanked him, and left with his new fire and Hinata. Eventually, he just chalked it up to strange Hyugas and their strange behavior. Well, at least he had something interesting to do today, and it was already nearing the time to visit Sasuke at the Hokage monument. And now he had a story to tell. Chapter 2. Eventually it was evening, about 4. Naruto hastily made his way to the top of the Hokage mountain. Time seemed to fly by when he was getting late, the reason being the Hinata incident, as he came to call it. Sasuke, on the other hand, was planning to test the skills of this boy who seemed to be oddly familiar to him. As a result, he was hiding quiet skillfully on the top of a tree that had just started to bloom flowers, so it was easy to hide there. Still, he worked out angles between the leaves and flowers in order to figure out from where can he look without being spotted. The whole procedure took the better part of 30 minutes and involved several log pieces, flowers and leaves being cut and reshaped. He was concealed perfectly. Half an hour later, he noticed Naruto running up to the place. And to his surprise, after a few seconds of bobbing his head left to right, Naruto gazed right at him. "Yo, Sasuke, what are you doing up there?" "Sasuke, can you hear me up there?" Sasuke was speechless. His tiresome attempts of hiding himself in a way that would take at least a sensor chunin to spot him went right down the drain as the blonde boy figured out his hiding place in an instant. As Sasuke was coping with the fact that his friend was a censor in his internal monologue, Naruto had climbed the said tree and was now sitting beside him. "This place sucks. You can't see anything from here," Naruto complained. Sasuke's entire body suffered goosebumps. He was frozen. No one had ever had a jump on him except for Shisui and Itachi, in his little life of 6 years anyways. Slowly, he regained his composure a little. "How?" Sasuke asked, his fright written in bold letters on his face. "How what?" Naruto asked intelligently. How did you find me? Sasuke asked a little boldly this time. You said to visit here, didn't you? Naruto replied. Sasuke didn't move a muscle in his body for the next few seconds. Oh, that. Well, you see, I had to search for my sister whenever we went out to play when we were little. She was always hyperactive and wandered off. Mom couldn't find her easily, but I always did. She would say that it was a special link between twins. Yeah, right. Like sensing someone in a marketplace of over 500,000 people mindlessly shopping was a link. I looked through some scrolls that I borrowed from our clan library and figured out that it was called sensory perception, present in all the people but some specialize in it. Those are called sensors, like me. This little explanation was enough for the sharp-minded Uchiha to grasp the basic idea what happened. So you are a sensor, Sasuke said. Naruto gazed back at him with a deadpan look. Yup, Sue. You were trying to test me, weren't you? Sasuke looked sheepish and replied, Yes. I wanted to see what you were capable of. Oh, okay, Naruto replied. Nothing more was said for a while. So dash, they both spoke at the same time. You go first, Naruto said. Sasuke looked to argue but quickly figured that it would be a waste of time to do so. How was your day? He asked. Naruto looked thoughtful for a second, then said, Good. Nothing noteworthy. Wait, I almost forgot. Do you know the Hyuga clan's heiress? Sasuke shook his head. The blonde continued, Well, I met her this morning. Her name's Hinata and she was being bullied by a few students from the academy, second or third years probably. So what did you do? Sasuke asked. Well, I obviously don't like bullies, so I, took care of them, Naruto replied. How exactly did you do so? Sasuke asked, intrigued. Well, I'll tell you from the beginning. So I was going by the academy. And with that, Naruto described the Hinata incident in full detail to the Uchiha. He left nothing out due to the feeling of brotherhood that he felt around the boy, which included the flashback, the timings, and the exact hue of the shade of red that was present due to Hinata's blush. Sasuke maintained different levels of expressions during the entire description. He was first proud, then awed, then a little jealous, and finally smirking with an occasional hint of evil chuckles. The last part was during the aftermath of the one-sided pummeling that occurred when the blonde and his, now, admirer were exchanging greetings. Who knew that Sasuke Uchiha was a love expert inside? The chuckles were a direct result of his plan to talk Naruto into getting his teachers to train him as well, along with playing matchmaker with Naruto and Hinata. With the basic layout of his plan ready in his mind, he began its first steps. I've got a proposal for you, Sasuke said. Let's have a spar. If you beat me, then I'll tell you about that little situation that you had with Miss Hyuga earlier because you don't seem to grasp the concept here. Plus, it will help us determine each other's weaknesses and strengths. So, how about it? Naruto seemed thoughtful for a second, then replied, Sure, let's have a spar. The offer seems decent enough, also I've never fought someone of my level yet. Sasuke smirked. Naruto rolled his fists. Wind blew and their hair seemed to move with it. The grass moved and each changed their stance. In their heated stare-down, Sasuke blinked, Naruto blinked, the rabbit in the bushes blinked. The hypothetical leaf touched the ground and with a battle cry, they charged, with their fists clashing and repelling the other. Naruto, as he had been taught by Kakashi, calmed his mind and focused on his opponent's stance, trying to find out the weakness that lies in it. Sasuke, on the other hand, had the advantage of being used to intercepting each style and thus charged again. They exchanged blows continuously. Naruto threw a punch at Sasuke's left rib section, which the said boy blocked with a left chop and proceeded to turn his body around Naruto and hit his head with his right elbow. Naruto, however, saw this coming as soon as Sasuke began to turn. Naruto bowed while keeping a firm grip on the Uchiha's hand, tried to throw him over, corrected himself in midair, and landed on his feet. You're good, Naruto complimented. Sasuke responded, You're not bad yourself. Enough was said and they charged again. This continued for almost 2 hours. But in the end, this battle of taijutsu was won by Naruto due to the better conditioning of his body courtesy of the green beast. Sasuke tired out and Naruto was still standing. ready for more. Is that all that the great Sasuke Uchiha can do? Naruto mock asked. Sasuke developed a tick mark on his head before he noticed Naruto's legs shaking a little. You're not doing much better yourself, are you? Sasuke responded with a smirk, which was reciprocated by Naruto. Soon they both started laughing and Naruto held his hand out to Sasuke. Sasuke took hold of it and stood up, then abruptly fell on their backs again, just sitting there resting themselves for a little while before Sasuke decided to pay up on his end of the deal. Not that he wouldn't have otherwise, but it was still something that he wanted to do. So Naruto, what do you know about 14th of February or, as people call it, Valentine's Day? And with that began Naruto's tutoring on the world of love and the significance of the 14th of February, something that will severely help the Namikaze and the Hyuga clans in their future relationship. The explanation took the better part of the hour, but now Naruto was armed with the knowledge of Valentine's Day and was determined to make Hinata his first one. Little did he know she might also be his only one. Wait a sec, I want something in return too. Sasuke spoke, breaking the flow of determination that was now present in the blonde boy's head. Naruto just cocked his head in return. Taking the K, Sasuke said, I want you to train with me. Your teachers can help me too, can't they? I want to be strong too. Is that it? I was planning to ask you to come train with me anyways. The way you fight is great. I could learn something from you. That was something that Sasuke didn't expect. Well, in that case, you can come train with me and Shursui too, whenever he is free of course, Sasuke said. I'll be there, Naruto replied without missing a beat. The idea of more training, by Shursui of teleportation no less, excited the young blonde. So, about that Valentine's Day thing, do you know any Doton users? Asked Sasuke. Yup, Inu is one. Now that I think about it, he almost possesses all the affinities. Maybe not wind. After noticing the questioning look on the face of the Uchiha, he continued, the one who overlooks my ninjutsu training and teaches me the so-called finer aspects of a shinobi. He's all weird and loony sometimes, but he can also be a slave driver. Anyways, he is a Doton user. So, what about him? Sasuke replied, well, that's good for you. But he can help you learn some earth manipulation so you can maybe create some benches for yourselves wherever you want and make any sort of clearing and design it to fit yourself. That all just depends on your creativity. Naruto had a thoughtful look, then replied, yup, sounds great. I can create any sort of settings for our date, assuming she agrees to go on one with me. Naruto replied, suddenly looking comically depressed. Sasuke just sighed. The Namikaze can be a ray of sunshine when happy, and a sudden mood change can cause him to become its total reverse. So Sasuke began to cheer him up and give him more tips for the upcoming event. Despite knowing each other for nothing more than a day, they became besties, able to understand each other's feelings and provide comfort when needed. This was something more than friendship. This much was clear to them both. A bond forged not in this life, but somewhere in the past. True brothers not in blood, but in bond. After some more planning, they bid farewell and were on their way home. The next day, Naruto had spent the better part of last night not practicing seals, but studying more of his borrowed scrolls, this time on Doton. The number of scrolls was enormous, as expected of a clan library. Minato and Kushina were the same, and Naruto was still too immature to notice anything. So Naruto had no problem slipping in and out without catching any of his family's attention. After breakfast, he and Sasuke had agreed to meet at the marketplace and find Kakashi. The said person was out the village currently on a mission, so the two searched for him for the most morning, having little to no success. Eventually Sasuke said, dude, why can't we just ask your dad about his whereabouts? I mean, I know about your condition, but still you can always ask him. If not as a son, then as a citizen in need. Naruto was conflicted. On one hand, he didn't want to depend on his father. On the other, even his sensory skills were proving ineffective in searching for the said Anbu. Eventually, Naruto agreed, albeit with reluctance. So the duo made their way to the Hokage's office. The receptionist gave them a once-over before politely bowing and informing them that the Hokage is free to meet them. After all, the heirs to two of the most prominent clans in Konoha do not come looking for the Hokage for a bit of chit-chat. even though they are just kids. Add to that the fact that one of them was the Hokage's son. Yup, definitely an important matter, thought the receptionist. The door to the Hokage's office opened and the duo walked in. Welcome, son and Sasuke. Was it? Fugaku's son. You two friends? Well, how can I help you? Said Minato. He was amused to see Naruto in his office, and he had a friend that Minato didn't know about. That was something that he was not expecting. Sure, Naruto had been spending a lot of time outside, training on his own, but he should have mentioned having a friend. Minato bit down his curiosity for the moment and waited for an answer. Hi, Dad. Me and Sasuke just met the other day and were hoping that you would tell us where we could find Inu. Naruto replied. Minato smiled and replied, Inu is currently on a mission outside the village. He won't be back for another week or so. Anything that I can help with? Minato wasn't an idiot. He had a rough idea what his son did in his spare time and who was teaching him. Inu, however, never took permission from him and he would never ask for one. It was the least that he could do for not being able to give Naruto extra time like he and Kushina gave to Naruto. Minato noted that Naruto was a little agitated and Sasuke was also showing signs of the same. They are trying to hide their emotions? No, they can't possibly be doing that. Ninjas have problem doing that in front of me and these kids are managing to do so well. No, that can't be right. Must be my imagination. Yup, that's it. Mused Minato. But you don't have that much time. It's in 3 days. Sasuke said, a little worried about his friend. I will have to manage it. Thanks for your help, Dad. See ya, Naruto said. They both headed out with Naruto giving a wave and Sasuke bowing. Minato was undoubtedly suspicious of them. Naruto was supposed to be his son. Surely he hasn't reached the age when he would start keeping secrets from him, had he? Well, Minato would have to see for himself what his son and his new friend were up to if they wouldn't tell him. At times like these, he severely wished that the Sandaime had allowed him to use his crystal ball. The old pervert uses it for nothing but peeking at women, fumed Minato. But it's no use doing that. Either he had to spy on them himself or he had to set an umbu to do so. Then, he stopped himself. I'm blowing things way out of proportion. These are 6-year-old kids. What can they be doing to deserve a spy on their tails? Naruto's probably just a little distressed on not finding Kakashi. He convinced himself, but a shadow of a doubt was still present in the back of his mind. Outside. What do we do? Nearly shouted Naruto, suddenly changing his behavior from calm to hyperventilating. Sasuke facepalmed, the behavior of the blonde being the cause. Well, do you have any Doton scrolls at home that you can borrow? Asked Sasuke. Yup. I guess we will have to use them, said Naruto with a sigh. He didn't like stealing even if he kept them back later. It just felt wrong. But the matter at hand was of grave importance. His Valentine, Hinata Hyuga. Regardless of the fact that he had met her only once, he liked her. That day Naruto sneaked out another one of the scrolls from the library and began training in it with Sasuke. The latter had better control, but Naruto, despite not knowing, had a better affinity for Doton. Hence he ended up learning basic earth manipulation in a day and learned a few jutsus as well. Sasuke, on the other hand, was desperate in trying to catch up with the manipulation. This continued, and by the end of the second day, Naruto had managed to do what he wanted for Hinata. The time had come to show the results of his training, because tomorrow was one of the most difficult days that he will see in his life. Valentine's Day. That morning, Sasuke woke up to Naruto sitting on the windowsill in his bedroom, knocking. Hey Sasuke, wake up you lazy ass. You've got to help me. I'm scared, cried Naruto. Sasuke opened his window and spoke. What is it? Well, today I had to do the thing, and when I went to the Hyuga mansion, the guard spotted me and asked me to reveal myself. Wait, reveal yourself? What were you hiding or something? Sasuke cut him off. Well, yeah, I was, kind of worried about her reaction, so I hid in the branches and wore a cloak just in case, replied Naruto, smiling sheepishly. Sasuke shook his head. This blonde is a genius in terms of battle, and he cannot even introduce himself to a clan's guards? Wow, just plain, wow. Give me a few minutes. I'll change and meet you outside. Today you're gonna hang out with her. Me being your wingman, Sasuke said with an assuring smirk. Naruto felt relieved. At least Sasuke would help him. Not like Naruto's mother, who had spent the better part of the morning getting Naruto ready and teasing Naruto occasionally by asking him who his Valentine was as he was going out dressed, but didn't bother to help him. Naruto had to evade her teasing and had to slip out of house. The morning was difficult. Later, Sasuke and Naruto were seen jumping rooftops, something they discovered that they each knew. They were currently stalking a certain Hyuga who had come shopping along with her mother Hisa and her 1-year-old sister Hanabi. They were accompanied by 2 bodyguards after the attempt to poison Hisa during her second labor. The culprit was a Hyuga elder who deemed her a burden to the clan head. The said elder had mysteriously disappeared, with Hayashi stating that he was responsible for his own actions, nothing more. Currently, Naruto and Sasuke were perched on a rooftop and were waiting for an opportunity to get Hinata alone. Tired, beaten, and overall just pretty much banged up, as so far all their attempts had failed. Earlier, Sasuke had made plans for getting Naruto and Hinata together. The first Hyuga mansion direct approach. Sasuke took Naruto and went to the said place, rather boldly, and asked for audience with Hinata Hyuga. Quite a courageous attempt, if the beads of sweat rolling off the faces of the duo was any indication. But unfortunately or fortunately, she had already gone out along with her sister and mother. Her father exuded a rather strange and cold atmosphere and made a point to have them memorize the fact that the Hyuga had the gentle fist, which can be used to disable several parts of the human body. Permanently so. Also that Hinata was too young and that she was traveling with bodyguards adept in the gentle fist. A bit too scary for the kids. Fail. Second attempt, marketplace direct approach. After searching the market for about 15 minutes, the duo found Hinata and company courtesy of Naruto's sensory abilities. Sasuke managed to convince Naruto to speak to Hinata directly. After several minutes and words of inspiration later, Naruto finally went to Hinata and walked up to her, standing inches apart from her face suddenly. Before he could say anything, Hinata eeped and fell unconscious after turning beet red. Naruto just stood there bewildered. Within a few seconds, the bodyguards had disabled Naruto and he was a mess on the ground. Hisa saw the whole thing and reprimanded her aides for attacking kids without complete consideration. Sasuke arrived and apologized to Hisa and took Naruto away after his block Tenketsu had been opened. Fail. Attempt 3, marketplace, posing as a vendor selling apples. This time, Sasuke posed as a vendor using a henge and had successfully distracted Hisa and her aides from Hinata. Said person was awarded with the sight of a bench in front of a small clearing along with several mystically beautiful designs on the ground. She found it extremely beautiful. But then she found a small scribble at the bottom saying, "Will you be my Valentine?" This sight was a downer for her. She was reminded of the incident earlier with Naruto, how he wanted to talk to her but she fainted like an idiot. Now Naruto would find her weird and would never talk to her. She left the place sobbing before Naruto had a chance. Fail. That process continued for the rest of the day. Naruto kept on trying to reach Hinata and Sasuke was trying his best to help him. However, after several hours and several failed tries later, the duo had given up. There was absolutely no way of reaching Hinata without having all your tenketsus closed or Hinata fainting. Sasuke had an apologetic look on his face. "Look, dude, for all it's worth, I'm sorry. I couldn't help you get your girl," he said. "Why are you saying sorry? You tried your best in helping me. Maybe the problem is with me somewhere." To console him, Sasuke had decided to drop Naruto off to his house. When they reached there, Naruto bid farewell to him and opened the door. He half expected to hear his mother teasing him again, but none came. Instead, he found Hayashi, Hisa, little Hanabi, and Hinata. Naruto exclaimed, surprised. The Hyuga family had decided to visit them on this particular night. What were the odds of that? "My daughter wanted to apologize to you for the morning and insisted that she should come visit you to personally do so. So we decided to accompany her for tonight's dinner to your house, young Namikaze," Hayashi explained, breaking Naruto out of his stupor. "Yes, Naruto-kun. Hinata-chan here was sorry for behaving so inappropriately earlier today and wanted to say sorry, Kushina backed him. Why didn't you say that you had such a nice friend? And I-chan? Naruto said, playfully tugging on Hinata's hand. They had been playing for the last half an hour or so. Hinata didn't pay much attention to others and just moved forward, with a blush on her face, and handed Naruto his first ever Valentine's Day present. A small white plush rabbit to him, with the words sorry and happy Valentine's Day stitched on its back. Naruto had a small lump in his throat. He had thought that Hinata found him weird after today's events, but she liked him too. Sasuke was right. Naruto couldn't help himself and let a tear fall discreetly and hugged her. Poor Hinata was shocked, to the point where she blushed crimson and fainted along with a loud eep, something soon to be called her thing. The crowd gathered. All laughed at Naruto's predicament, who now had to hold her up. Sasuke was just turning the corner when he heard Naruto's shout of Hinata, and soon heard the following eep and laughter. Something told him that his friend was happy now. So he left, intent on hearing what transpired the next day. The dinner was a talkative affair, though no one mentioned what transpired between Naruto and Hinata earlier, not taking into account the mischievous looks that Naruto was passing to her brother sitting beside Hinata. After dinner, the Hyugas left with goodbyes and Hinata with a shy "bye Naruto-kun," along with a small blush and a smile. Naruto replied with one of his own along with a similar goodbye. After that, Naruto left for his bedroom and was asleep in a few minutes. Kushina observed what happened and talked to Minato about it when they went to sleep. So, our son has an admirer, does he now? Kushina asked while her face was buried in Minato's shoulders. Yup, seems like it, Minato replied. I don't want him to be like you. You always had fangirls, which always scared me, prevented me from approaching you and talking, Kushina said. Minato smiled, reminiscing on the past memories. That Hinata is a nice girl. Once in the academy, she will have to face a horde of fangirls just to look at him. But I'll be rooting for her, Kushina said. Minato just hummed in response. That night, Kushina felt, for the first time, a little left out, when she realized that she didn't know much about her son. Whoops, a mistake I need to fix soon. But I've got plenty of time, thought Kushina. Little did she know that her window had already reached the time of closing. As Naruto had found friends that he could rely on when in need, he won't need much help now. Chapter 3. And after all that stuff, I went to sleep, finished Naruto, informing Sasuke about all the events of the day before. Sasuke smiled. It seems all their efforts the other day did pay off in the end. And they should too. What with the amount of injuries that they sustained and the number of accidentally closed tenketsus. After the fall from the top of the building, while they were following the Hyuga group, Sasuke was almost certain that he had broken an ankle. He could literally hear the damn thing creaking the whole day. Then he realized that, in process of helping his friend, he didn't go out to find himself a Valentine. Well, not like he had any for the last 6 years, but he still couldn't help feel a little jealous of Naruto. Naruto, however, noticed the look and got the mater in a second. Don't worry, dude. You helped me this time, and now I'm gonna make sure that we both spend the next one with our dates. That's a promise, Naruto assured him along with his bright smile. Sasuke smiled at his friend's words. Something about them was strangely reassuring. You better do, because I don't want to be left behind you in anything, Sasuke said, smiling. Naruto smirked and got up. Well, we have a year still left for that, and I'd rather not spend all that time in searching for a girlfriend for you. We've got to train too, lover boy, Naruto replied. Sasuke had a little blush but replied, Hey, you're one to talk. But right you are. How can I forget my goal? He said, getting up from the treetop where they were sitting. It's we and our you dumbass. You're not alone, Naruto replied, getting up next to him. And just like that, they just stared out to the village for some time. Eventually Sasuke said, we need a schedule and we need to stick to it. We've only got a year till academy admissions. More like academy restrictions, Naruto gave his opinion. Agreed. But the time limit is 1 year. We've got to make full use of the time and train as hard as possible during this time. No doubt you and me can already beat most graduate genins, but we need to be stronger than that. Remember, my brother graduated academy as the rookie of the year at 7, cleared Chunin exams at 10, and has just recently joined Umbu. His skill is not ordinary. I know. He paused, stole a glance at the blonde, and then continued, we need to be stronger than that. Naruto nodded to his acknowledgement, then added, the morning time is the best for warming the body up. Might Guy and his apprentice start their physical exercises at 4 in the morning. If anything can get you warmed up, it's a workout with both of them. Afterwards, we can rest a bit and start ninjutsu and survival training with Inu, if he is available at that time, or else we can spend that time self-practicing. Sasuke listened critically and then added, no, Shursui and I won't be available in the afternoon. His shift starts at 3 whenever he is not out of the village. So we need to do it before that. Naruto nodded slowly, already feeling the pain that the training's going to cause them. Well, the whole thing can be chalked up to endurance training with the amount of work that we will be forced to do without a break. Naruto added, looking depressed. Sasuke reassured him we'll live through it, but it will have results. Anyways, the rest of the time we can spend for self-practice. Agreed. Agreed. Naruto responded. With that, they finished drafting their training schedule. Clones had to be made, requests had to be made, compromises had to be made, as well as minds had to be made up. At an instance, one could see Sasuke Uchiha on his knees, purring and making sounds of meowwww, while wearing cat ears and trying to chase his own fake tail in front of an extremely amused Shursui. As witnessed by a rolling on the floor laughing Naruto, most requests were granted on a favor basis because not everyone could be like Guy, who was just happy with the prospect of getting more youthful students. All he did was express his happiness with a manly and youthful, also extremely mentally scarring hug, complete with a background Genjutsu sunset and crashing waves. That hug had rendered Sasuke catatonic for a complete 3 days, though he started feeling a strange sensation in his eyes after that event. Naruto, on the other hand, was building his way to immunity towards that 4th-degree torture technique, having the misfortune of witnessing the said jutsu several times in his past. Not exactly good exposition for a child. Then came Sasuke's turn to do the rolling on the floor laughing. Naruto had to wear a collar, chew a bone, and play with the dog summons of Inu when he took them all for a bath. He was given the task to keep the dogs entertained, while they were given a bath by Sasuke. The latter was brought in on the act after enjoying his time laughing in front of Inu a bit too much. It was a fun affair, for Inu and his dogs, at least. One good thing that came out of this was that they now had Inu's name, Kakashi Hatake. It was written on the list of visitors to the kennel. It was nice to have a name to the mask that was soon to teach them. Not that much was revealed even after he took his mask off. Just an eye. Next day, Naruto and Sasuke met at their usual training spot at the decided time. Not a word about what happened yesterday, to anyone who doesn't know it yet anyways, Naruto threatened. Totally agreed. I'm never taking Kakashi's dogs out for bath if that tends to happen every time we do so. Sasuke responded, acknowledging his arrival. Yup, just how much junk do these girls have stuffed up their brains? I mean, that was just nuts. Naruto responded. But back to serious, he spoke as he sensed their first teacher arriving. So, time to begin our training, Sasuke said, looking out to the training field. Yup, better get ready, Naruto said as he finished stretching himself. Because here comes the green beast. Naruto pointed to a green object moving, and Sasuke took up his pose. So good to see you here before time, my youthful students. We will begin the warm-up in 3, 2. Guy was cut off by Rock Lee. I'm here, Guy-sensei. The 5-footer boy came up behind them. Lee possessed very thick eyebrows and large, rounded black eyes with prominent lower eyelashes. An exact copy of Guy, except Lee's hair was much longer and fastened in a braid that, along with his style of dress, gave him a more traditional Chinese appearance. As for the much-talked-about Guy, he was a tall and well-built man with high cheekbones, thick eyebrows and black haircut in a bowl style. He wore a green jumpsuit, orange striped leg warmers and the standard Konoha flak jacket, though normally unzipped. His forehead protector was on a red cloth and worn around his waist like a belt. So, shall we begin now, my youthful students? Guy asked again, this time with more vigor and determination. Yash! came the collective answer, and with that they began their morning routine of countless laps, push-ups, crunches, sit-ups, etc., etc. By the time they were done, Naruto was panting and sprawling on the ground. Sasuke was trying to crawl his way to a nearby tree. Whereas Guy and Lee were fine and were now seeming to exchange views on the flames of youth and making weird promises to each other. "This is what you go through every day?" Sasuke asked as regained his breath that threatened to collapse his lungs. "That's just the morning," Naruto replied with a smirk, suddenly feeling proud of his achievements. "Come on, gather yourself up. We still have a lot of work to do before the day gets over," Naruto said, getting up and dusting himself off. Sasuke just grumbled in response but got up anyways. It was time for the next round of torture with Kakashi. At 8, they reached the destined place for their training. Surprisingly, Kakashi was on time. Naruto had been worried how he would explain to Sasuke Kakashi's tardiness if the said man would be late, but his fears were for naught. Quite unfortunate for them. Kakashi had introduced to them his special training from hell. The point to never rest or be off guard in enemy territory was extremely focused upon using special tripwires and strange glue-like substance that would make you stick to a particular spot and several heavy swinging logs that would follow them from everywhere and anywhere. Kunais and exploding tags were as common as a stone or a twig in a forest, hidden like them too. First 3 hours were spent on this. With Naruto and Sasuke completely tired, Kakashi began to teach them the theory behind chakra. "I guess that you guys have had enough physical for now. Let me tell you the basics of chakra. In my time dash," Kakashi was about to continue but was cut off by Naruto. Yeah, I'm sure Sasuke would love to hear stories from your past, but right now we need to learn about chakra, and not how stuff was done in your time. That stuff is like cutthroat boring." The last part was spoken under his breath, so only Sasuke was able to hear. Ma, the kids these days, always impatient," Kakashi said with a sigh. "Well, chakra is essential to even the most basic technique. Through various methods, the most common of which is hand seals, chakra can be controlled and manipulated to create an effect that would not be possible otherwise, such as walking on water, exhaling fire, or creating illusions. Chakra is ordinarily not visible to the unaided eye unless it is highly concentrated or manifested in large amounts," Kakashi began. At the end of that day's lecture, Kakashi had taught them about the spiritual and physical energies, the different types of chakras, and the different types of manipulation of it. He had even given them a chakra litmus paper to test their affinities. Naruto had an affinity for wind, earth, and lightning, pretty uncommon for a genin to develop. Sasuke had affinity for lightning and fire. 2 affinities were uncommon too unless one had a Kekii Genkai. Now, Sasuke was supposed to have the Sharingan, but that did not have any elemental requirements. Kakashi was pretty amused with these kids. He would definitely enjoy teaching them. After he was through with them, they went to have lunch. At that moment, Naruto introduced Sasuke to a family favorite food, ramen, or as Naruto called it, the food of the gods. "Oh, old man Tucci, I'm here, and I've brought along a guest too," Naruto shouted off onto the stand. An old man, in his late 30s, came up wearing an apron and said, "Hello Naruto, so good to see you again. And what do you have with you? A new customer? You, kid, never fail to make me happy." The old man, now recognized as Tucci, greeted back. Sasuke just gave a polite bow and just told him his name. Naruto, however, noticed the slight sadness in the voice of Tucci coming from the back of the kitchen before he greeted them. "What's wrong, old man?" he asked. "Well, is currently having a fever and is resting at home. I'm just worried about her," Tucci replied. "Oh, I'm sorry. Tell her that Naruto and Sasuke here said get well soon. We will send flowers," Naruto replied again, making the old man smile. "Thank you, Naruto. The first bowl for you guys is on the house," Tucci said happily. Naruto just grinned and gave his order for a miso ramen and asked Sasuke to try the same as it was his first time. "You sure this stuff is edible?" Sasuke asked concerned, as he picked up his chopsticks. "Of course it is. Now stop getting scared and start eating," Naruto replied, now starting to stuff his mouth with ramen. Sasuke saw the look of excitement and happiness on the face of his friend and hastily dug in. Though strange at first, he started to like the stuff after a few bites. Eventually, he had eaten his first bowl right after Naruto. And now he was craving for more. Naruto, noticing this, said, Hey, control yourself, dude. I know this stuff is addictive, but we still have training with your cousin in 20 minutes. Let's finish up here. Sasuke looked downtrodden but understood the reasoning behind it. So they left the ramen stand for training with sure sway of teleportation, with determination painted on their faces. Tucci, on the other hand, looked sad as he would not get any more business out of them both. But he understood the reasoning and wished them luck in his heart. Later, Shursui was a relatively simple person. It was easy to be around him as Naruto got with their first meeting. All he did was simple introductions and then training. Such a simple word, training. Well, after literally living through the events of the day, the training provided by Shursui was not much of a surprise. Though the basic jutsus of the academy were reviewed, the more difficult ones need more control and chakra. Chakra, both Naruto and Sasuke had plenty of, the former even more so than the latter. Control was the area where Naruto was lacking in a bit. So all they did after that was chakra control and tree walking exercise. After the training was over, Shursui began to explain to them the true meaning of a ninja. What it meant to be a ninja, its goals and responsibilities. Much like a philosophy class, but the duo paid great attention to it. It was something that would be written in their hearts forever and would greatly define their characters in the future. Later, after some supper consisting of biscuits and milk at Sasuke's house, they bid farewell to each other. And with that, Naruto walks home. Tired and exhausted but happy all same that his training had just gotten a whole lot more interesting and that he would get much faster now that he also had a rival to compete with all the time. But more importantly, a friend to rely on. Though something happened that they both didn't bother paying attention to on that day. The photos of their half-naked selves were distributed and were currently being used as a sort of trading card collection by the young female population of Konoha. Something that they both won't like. Omake, what happened after bathing Kakashi's Ninken? To say that Naruto and Sasuke were exhausted was like saying that Amaterasu was hot. Not a false one, but an understatement nonetheless. Covered in sweat from top to bottom, clothes sticking to their already lean body. Add to it the fact that Sasuke still had remnants of soap on his t-shirt, and Naruto still had the collar on, the damn thing's glued to my neck. An appetizing sight for the group of girls who were just walking around the corner, to see them in such a state coming out of the dog kennel. The said pair were unaware of the impending doom until Naruto sensed a few people. The duo were just about to make their way to their respective houses when it happened. Naruto stopped dead in his tracks. Sasuke was surprised to see his friend suddenly falling behind. He shifted his eyes to the back, just enough to see him shocked with fear. Curious, Sasuke asked, "What's the matter? Too tired to walk? Mr. Stamina Freak?" Sasuke asked mockingly. Naruto didn't budge, just grew more scared by the second. It was, in no way, a good thing to say near the group which was now staring them. The fact that they had just come out of a kennel, not dressed appropriately, saying things that could be misinterpreted, was not good for them. "Why, you remember I told you that my D-Dad gave me the talk last year, right? Well, he included something about saying suggestive things in front of fangirls." Naruto spoke, shivering. Minato had cleared his schedule for the entire day. The man knew fangirls and the misery they can cause and hence did not want his son to go through the same. Sasuke just gave his response, not getting the implied meaning. "Look behind me," Naruto said weakly. Sasuke complied, and when he saw what Naruto was so scared shitless about, he gulped heavily. There stood, in all their glorious wildness, a group of extremely insane and rabid-looking preteens. Jaws wide open, teeth visible. Drool coming out without restraint, having a dreamy, starry, and hungry look in their eyes. In short, fangirls. If they were together came a voice. Together in a kennel came another. Naruto-kun was wearing a collar another. They are Tsukinki another pitched. They are homoses one sobbed. I don't care another shouted. Sasuke understood Naruto's fear, for he was facing so himself. His innocent words had been taken into account wrongly. Similar shouts were heard, And with that, one of them stepped forward. Another followed. Naruto took a step backward, Sasuke mimicked. Few more stepped forward. Naruto and Sasuke began backing up. All of them suddenly started moving, like vampires on a blood hunt. Naruto and Sasuke began to increase their pace of stepping back. Suddenly, all of them lunged forward, charging at their prey. Naruto screamed and Sasuke lost his voice and just whimpered. The chase began. Konoha had suddenly become one of the greatest mazes to play the game tag. A blonde and a raven head were seen running for their lives, followed by a giant horde of preteens. The faction of chasers had split into 3 groups formed thereon. One for Naruto Uzumaki, trying to chain him with the help of that collar on his neck to use as their personal playtoy. Another was for Sasuke Uchiha, who wanted to eat out all the bubbles along with some skin. The third faction was just generally looking for any one of them. They didn't care who. That day Naruto had lost his favorite orange jumpsuit and Sasuke had lost his first turtleneck. The said clothes were in titters and were stuffed in quiet strange places in or against the clothes of the girls who had ravished them. The duo had had enough for a day. Sakura Haruno had heard the commotion outside and was greeted to the sight of Sasuke running half-naked with just remains of the turtleneck around his neck, while she glanced out the window. Needless to say, she immediately lunged at him and managed to grab the remnant of the said garb and run, all the while screaming bloody murder at any and all of the girls chasing him. While even more scared, Sasuke was internally thanking Sakura for the assistance that she provided tonight. Afterwards, he had managed to get home unscathed. Anymore, at least. Though better than being outside, the suspicious glances and weird looks from Makoto and Itachi were trying their best to make up for the lost discomfort. Meanwhile, Naruto was not so lucky. He had been running for almost an hour, but the best he had managed to achieve was getting out of their sight for 3 infinitely small seconds, courtesy of an Inuzuka clan member being among their ranks. At a point, he had 2 options. 1, to pass by the Hokage Tower, which could give him a chance to create a clone and escape, but would also give his family a good gossip over dinner, as his father would undoubtedly notice. The other, take a left turn now, and then continue running in hopes of finding another chance to escape. Sadly for him and luckily for the horde, he chose the second option. However, unbeknownst to Naruto, Minato always had the Umbu at his disposal. Second-by-second details of the occurring were provided to the Hokage. In an almost same condition as Sasuke, guess who arrived at the scene to rescue Naruto? Yup. Hinata Hyuga happened to be visiting a store nearby, shopping for cinnamon buns, and had caught a glimpse of the blonde blur, followed by a large mob. She was conflicted, though she had a few guesses as to the owner of the said blonde hair, but she also had a moral duty towards the cinnamon buns that she was about to buy. Solution: she activated her Byakugan and went in the store. After searching for a minute, she found him. Lean, well-built for his age, spiky hair, and half-naked. A second later, there was a cloud of dust where Hinata was moments earlier. No money was paid, the bag was still in the hands of the shopkeeper and Hinata was gone. The basics of the Jukin was all it took to take out each and every one of the rabid dogs, or bitches, that were chasing behind a tail which Hinata had set her eyes upon. Naruto was so relieved on seeing Hinata that he did not notice his fatigue. The boy was about to put a hand on her shoulder to say thanks, when Hinata turned. All she saw was Naruto reaching for her in his current predicament. The scene complete with those tired and half-lidded eyes of his, due to fatigue obviously, and she was out like a light. Naruto had to make a clone, henge him into a civilian, and deliver her back to her house. Overall, a troublesome day. The amount of shame and embarrassment that Naruto had to deal with that night was enough to make a seasoned Uchiha awaken the Mangekyo. No more description required. With that, the kissing of butts was done. Now to extract from the senseis their services that the damaged duo had to pay for with their honor. Omake end. Chapter 4. The next few months of their lives consisted of the rigorous training schedule that they had set up for themselves. During this time, they had gained and lost face in front of each other, trained hard, helped each other overcome their respective weaknesses, and had gotten a lot stronger in the process. Naruto and Sasuke had made a ton of progress in many fields of the shinobi arts. Taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, and even kenjutsu, both almost equally talented in each field. Though their competition was always a fun thing to watch. Sometimes Naruto would beat Sasuke in a taijutsu spar, then Sasuke would beat Naruto in a kenjutsu battle. This so-called rivalry provided for a healthy competition which always motivated them to move forwards and gave them the strength to never give up. During this time, they would often camp out with Kakashi, thus adding to their survival skills, which was always amusing for the duo. They would hunt and even play hide-and-seek with him. Though each knew the stealth and sensory training that this would provide them with, it was still fun to play and was quite interesting as well, if you consider the Sharingan that Kakashi possessed. So in summary, they had a good time. As for their powers, Sasuke had managed to awaken the first stage of his Sharingan. Naruto had managed to control his almost overwhelming amounts of chakra to a point where he could have it flow steadily. All of them results of survival training and chakra control exercises. But like all good things, this too had to come to an end. The academy was due in a week. Naruto had to enroll with his sister. That alone was enough to depress him. He literally predicted the words that some of the people would say to him. Look at her. She is so cute. She looks exactly like Kushina-sama. She is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. She is so brave, for protecting us from that beast at such a small age. We should support her. I bet Hokage-sama and Kushina-sama have paid great attention to her training, so she must be strong, obviously be the stronger of the twins. What? They have another child? Oh look, there is their other son and Naruto, was it? I don't remember. He must be average because Naruto is obviously stronger than other. These were just few of the comments that would be made by the people there. Subconsciously, that would make Naruto feel exactly just how overlooked he really was. He and his sister were escorted by their parents, and the only good thing that happened to him was getting a glimpse of Hinata in the crowd who had waved at him, albeit shyly. This was literally the only good thing that happened to him whilst there. On the way back, after registering, he saw Sasuke, who looked like he would rather have a training session with Guy than be heading there. The said Uchiha looked back and saw his best friend mouth a good luck just before his family turned a corner. Moving on to Sasuke, he wasn't doing much better either. Since morning, he had been lectured by his father and mother to behave exactly like his elder brother when he had joined the academy, to maintain a calm demeanor and not to act emotionally, but logically. He should only be friends with children of clan status and others of good skill set. Commoners were beneath them and to be passively avoided, but should not be treated badly in order to gain their trust. Sasuke felt like he was merely a tool to his clan, used in order to publicize their strength. When inside the academy, he witnessed the academy teachers literally telling him to be exactly like Itachi was. On his face nonetheless. The only good thing that happened to him was that Shisui had offered to train him in the Shunshin, if he behaved properly. To become the second coming of the Shunshin no Shisui was a pretty decent offer as a compensation for the amount of pain that he will have to suffer there. The following afternoon, Naruto went home. He opened his scrolls on ceiling and started studying again. Something which he spent the majority of the time at home doing, though nobody really cared. All they saw was Naruto studying and they were fine with it. In their opinion, he had to focus on his studies and training, which he did with his friends, so that he can catch up to Naruto, who they believed was naturally more talented than him in everything. That was because almost everything that they taught her would be learnt very quickly. In other words, she was a prodigy. But they never bothered to check her knowledge and skill against her brother. That pissed Naruto off. Anyways, he had no plans of training today. Currently, he was reading the level 6 Fuinjutsu book and took great interest in it. He was in the process of creating his very own remote summoning tag. It should be able to summon small things like explosives and other weapons or simple objects remotely, i.e. without the need to be in contact with the said object. The idea came to him from his father's Hiraition. The Nidame's jutsu was extremely tricky to understand. Though from what he could get, he was able to create the seal which he was now working on. It should be able to transport inanimate things but not people yet. The reason being that it worked by sending the particles of the object little by little and transport them to the marked place, the seal tag. For any alive creature this would mean instant death. It would be like cutting them up and then reassembling them at the desired place and hope for them to live. An idiotic idea. But Naruto was on his way to recreate the Nidame's Hiraishin. It was never his father's to begin with. He was going to be the second one to recreate the Hiraishin, after his father, without any help, to prove to the world just how wrong they were about him. With that thought and new determination in his mind, he increased his pace of making all the test seals and prepared to go off to test them in the training ground. On the other hand, his family was currently discussing the strange behavior of the said blonde and his supposed inability to match up to his sister. Although Naruto never liked having to talk such lowly of her brother, but even she held the belief of his inferiority to her. Meanwhile, at the Uchiha compound. Upon reaching home, Sasuke quickly ate his lunch and went off to train with Shursui, something that his parents believed he needed much. In all honesty, Sasuke wanted to get out of that place. All the judging and constant comparisons to his older brother were high on his nerves. He needed a break, and training was the best way to take his frustration out. However, when Shursui saw that look in Sasuke's eyes, he immediately rejected Sasuke's training. "Why? Why did you call off our training all of a sudden?" Sasuke asked. "Look at yourself, Sasuke. You have that one thing in your mind that you must never take into training. Hence, your training is dismissed," Shursui explained stoically. "Oh yeah? What's that thing on my mind that you find not suitable for training?" Sasuke questioned again, trying to keep himself from getting angry on his surrogate big brother. "Anger," said person calmly said. Now Shursui was a calm and an all-around cheerful person, contrasting from the rest of the clan. But when Shursui spoke stoically, you know you pissed him. Sasuke immediately shut up. Shursui had often told them about anger and hatred. If you let it, anger and hatred will eat you up whole and spit you out, though it might feel right at the moment, but it will bring you nothing but pain in the future. He would randomly say such things during their training sessions. The man was really a pacifist at heart. And Sasuke was ashamed of himself. "Sorry, Aniki," he said with a small face and a big frown. A face after seeing which Shursui couldn't help but forgive him. "Cough, now that you have realized your mistake, let me tell you something special," Shursui said, making Sasuke's eyes move in his direction. Shursui started, "Emotions are part of every human being. You cannot escape them. You must always cherish them because those are the things that separate us from the non-living. These will always be there with you." Sasuke listened, interested. "Anger and hatred are some of them. You will have these feelings sooner or later on in your life. Everyone does. Though how you manage it is what separates us from the commoners. You have to learn to channel your anger. Because one cannot just leave their feelings aside when they train, you have to learn to channel it to fuel your determination, but never let it be the reason." "Understood," finished Shursui. "Yes, sir," Sasuke saluted in response. Shursui had a way to thrill your nerves whenever he wanted. Maybe it was his genjutsu? Who knew? "Then get your ass ready for training tonight. Make sure you read up on the theory of the elemental shunshin, because I sure as hell am not going to give you a lecture in the evening." "Got it," Shursui said, now smiling warmly at him. Sasuke got up smiling radiantly. He thanked Shursui and darted for his clan library to do his reading. That night, Sasuke had managed to learn his first elemental shunshin, the lightning shunshin. The next day, it was the first day of the academy. Naruto was walking to the academy alone. Apparently his father had decided to take Naruto and Kushina, albeit after some threatening from Kushina, with him using his Hiraishin in order to make a unique entrance suited for the daughter of the Yellow Flash. Naruto was asked to give up this opportunity for his sister. Naruto, though resisting earlier, had eventually agreed to this. She liked the special treatment but didn't like to leave her brother like this. Naruto accepted his seclusion with resignation. While walking to the academy, Naruto had sensed Sasuke coming up close. He too was alone, so Naruto decided to wait up for his best friend to arrive and started to talk to him. Sasuke's parents had thought it too much of a bother to take Sasuke to the academy themselves, and Itachi and Shursui were out on a mission. These things were a little too much for the kids, so they decided to give others a little show of their strength, by making a special entry for themselves as well. Sasuke was currently donning a night blue turtleneck with a small Uchiha symbol on his back, black umbu pants, and a tanto strapped to his back horizontally. Naruto, on the other hand, was dressed in dark orange pants with scrolls attached to them, a black jacket with deep orange linings running down his hands and the Namikaze symbol on its back, and had a chainmail under it. In short, they looked badass cool. And to make themselves look more awesome, as suggested by Naruto, they went in via Shunshin. Sasuke decided to use this opportunity to outshine Naruto, and said that he would use the lightning Shunshin. He expected a jealous look from the blonde, but instead got a smirk. "Well, that's good for you, because I've got a little summon tag to back me up," Naruto said proudly. Sasuke looked annoyed for a moment but smiled, knowing that his rival was not lacking. The teachers had welcomed the new arrivals along with their parents. Naruto looked a tad bit too happy with all the attention. She saw all the different students and not that this class held an abnormally large number of clan heirs. The second heir for the Inuzuka clan, Kiba Inuzuka, who was talking/arguing with a boy in a gray trench coat. The heir of the Yamanaka clan, Ino Yamanaka, who was arguing with a mop of pink hair and the girl attached to it. The heir of the Treblisosari Nara clan, Shikamaru, was snoring beside a huge boy. The heir of the Aburame clan, Shino Aburame, was the boy arguing with Kiba. The heir of the Akimichi clan, Chuji Akimichi, was the boy sitting beside Shikamaru, eating a bag of chips. The heir of the Hyuga clan, and also the girl who almost certainly has a crush on her brother, Hinata Hyuga. She was seated by herself. After saying goodbye to her father and mother, who hugged her in front of the entire class, embarrassing her in the process, she went and took a seat near the Hyuga girl. If Hinata was going after her brother, she might as well have some fun with her. The moment the commotion had died down after the arrival of the Namikaze family, minus Naruto, there was a strange yet powerful wind blowing in the area. Almost everyone looked out towards the academy grounds. Naruto was responsible for that bit. Slowly, the sun was obscured by a giant cloud. The setting was perfect and the timing was right. At that moment, instinctively everyone looked to the tallest tree just beneath the sun. Suddenly, in a flash of blue lightning, there appeared a boy with dark hair, kneeling, and his eyes closed. He dropped a kunai, which unmistakably bore the markings of a seal. Suddenly there was a flash of orange, and there appeared a blonde with scrolls between his fingers, in a crouching position. Then, slowly they each got up, one with glowing red eyes and the other with an orange chakra outline, courtesy of the Sharingan and chakra expulsion from the body respectively, and looked directly at the spectators. Everyone was awestruck. These two boys had appeared suddenly and had blown everyone's mind. The boys of the class looked on with admiration and not at all hidden jealousy. Girls looked at them with stars in their eyes. The teachers were continuously releasing bursts of chakra in order to dispel the genjutsu that might have been placed on them, to no avail. This duo looked seasoned and proficient in their work. But how was this possible? After looking closely, these were two students who had their first day at the academy today. Not the most notable children either, even, as one was the other child of the Hokage and the second was the younger brother to the Uchiha clan's heir. Still, they were exuding an aura that was beyond most seasoned genin. Gracefully, they landed on the ground and continued to walk into the class. The students that had gathered in the doorway gave them a wide berth. Just before entering the room, Naruto looked to Hinata and gave a smirk, then continued behind Sasuke and entered the room. The said girl was standing in the middle of the crowd. Still, Naruto's eyes landed exactly on her. This caused her to blush a bright red and others to look at the young heiress with different looks. Some with smirk, other with jealousy, and some with accusation. This was too much for her and she ran inside, glowing like a hot rod. Eventually, everyone regained their bearings and started to disperse. Inside, Irika was affected as well. The class was quiet, unlike the usual batch of fresh entrants who were supposed to laugh and scream as loudly as they could. He coughed to get the attention of the class. Everyone, though quiet, were discreetly glancing towards the top window seat where the duo, who had put up the show earlier, were sitting. Sasuke was brooding with his arms crossed and his head low, eyes closed. Naruto was absent-mindedly looking out the window and fingering the kunai which was used to summon the scrolls in his fingers. This was what the spectators saw. However, what really happened was Sasuke and Naruto took off from their current place of chit-chat and both shunshined towards the academy. On the way, the prankster side of the blonde started playing out and their entrance plan was laid out. If everything went according to plan, they would appear on top of the academy building. Sasuke used his lightning element Shunshin, which was faster than the normal one, hence Naruto lagged behind. Before the dash started, Naruto had given Sasuke one of his test kunai that could remotely summon anything. Since Sasuke was not used to such speeds, he was forced to use his Sharingan, which was overcharged with chakra, as Naruto suggested, to make them glow. When he was just about to arrive on the rooftop, Naruto used his wind jutsu, a low-powered version of wind style. Great breakthrough. Due to inexperience, he faltered in his step while still on the tree closest to the rooftop and ended up in a crouch. This caused him to drop the kunai beside him. Meanwhile, Naruto started expelling more chakra from his body in an effort to boost his speed and add more distance to his jumps. Though when he arrived, Sasuke had just dropped the kunai on a tree a little ways from the rooftop. Quickly thinking, he made the seal on the said kunai to summon the scrolls that he had placed at home with his marker on them. This caused a blinding orange flash and Naruto took that moment to arrive at the place and grab a hold of the scrolls, all the while keeping the flow of chakra from his body constant. And the effect was clear. Kakashi had made it a point to arrive with a certain dramatic entrance whenever he was going to fight them or while training them. The entrance is a certainly important factor to determine the fight's outcome. It can vary from silent and undetected for assassinations to overwhelming when facing your opponent directly in combat. The arrival mentally forces the opponent to presume your strength and fight you accordingly. It can cause them to go all out from the get-go, if you want to scare them or size them up. Or it can cause them to undermine you and neglect your skills, when you want things to be done with quick precision or when you want to surprise them. It's all the entrance, my cute little students. It's all in the entrance, he would say. Back to the classroom. After hearing the cough from Irika, everyone paid attention, but were still risking glances at the pair. Irika decided that it was enough and decided to start with the introductions. Okay, everyone, now we will start with the introductions. You all have to state your name, likes, dislikes, and any dream that you have for your future. He spoke with a cheerful tone. Let's start from the right side. You first, Irika said, pointing to a civilian girl with green eyes. And with that, the introductions started. When it came to our favorite duo, the class suddenly fell silent. Everyone was interested in listening to them. Naruto glanced towards Sasuke, who looked towards him, and made a go gesture with his hands. Sasuke took it as his K to introduce himself. He rose and looked at Irika. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I am of the Uchiha clan, son of the chief of the police force Fugaku Uchiha, and Mikoto Uchiha and younger brother to Itachi, who is currently in the Umbu and watching over this class right now. He said the last part while glancing out the window and straight to a tree. Everybody, including the cleverly concealed in the tree Itachi, was shocked. Not even Irika knew about the hidden Umbu, and here was Sasuke just blabbing it out like it was common knowledge. Even Itachi became wary of Sasuke and immediately dispelled himself. Yes, the Itachi present here was a clone. Naruto had a hand in determining his location. Well, now he decided to leave us be. My likes are training and sparring with Naruto and our teachers, and I also like people who are not biased with anybody and who work hard to achieve their dreams. My dislikes are traitors and people who abandon their comrades. My dream is to unify the shinobi world and bring everlasting peace. Finished Sasuke, now sitting down on his seat. I guess that's my K. My name is Naruto Namikaze, the son of the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, and twin brother to my sister over there Naruto Namikaze. Naruto finished while pointing to his sister sitting at the front. Everyone started looking at her with strange looks as if she was a strange object. She too was awed by his strange behavior. He was never so expressive at home, nor did he ever show skills above average. So from where did this sudden change in his behavior and skills come from? Admittingly, she was jealous of him now that she was not in the spotlight, as she was used to having all the attention placed on her. But she was also concerned and happy too for her brother. Now, if everyone has finished staring at my sister, I will continue. This caused a smirk out of the Uchiha and a snicker from Hinata, as they both knew those details. The others, however, all blushed at this. Naruto continued, I dislike people who have a given advantage and do not work hard to improve themselves and worst of all consider others below them. I also dislike people who abandon their comrades. They are worse than scum. I also hate the time it takes for the water for ramen to boil. I like ramen, training with Sasuke and my teachers as well as hard workers. I also like my family, especially Naruto-chan and people who are helpful and do not have a stick up their backsides. And I also like Hinata-chan. Naruto finished with a smile while looking at the said girl. She started glowing a color which we all know very well. My dream for the future is to bring about peace to the world and become a Hokage greater than even my dad and all those before him. He finished. Those are some very fine ideals that you have got there. Quiet the philosophy when you think about it. Anyways, great goals. Do your best to achieve them. Irika said. Then the introductions continued. The duo tuned out at this. After the introductions were over, Irika, and some of the other instructors who had decided to drop in, gave a speech on the shinobi's way of life and the obstacles that they are going to face in their life once they become one. Then it was recess. Everyone walked out of the classroom to have their lunch and stretch their limbs. Sasuke and Naruto were the last ones to come out as they didn't want any type of commotion or stare down with any of their classmates. But fortune was not in their favor. When they went out, the first thing they noticed was that every girl had an empty seat beside her, and every guy was glaring at the duo. Not a good first impression. They avoided their classmates that day. Naruto, however, was willing to let a few selected people talk to him, i.e. Hinata. Sasuke was too annoyed by the others' behavior that he straight away left if someone wanted to talk to him. This, however, did not include Sakura as she was helpful to him during the FG onslaught. When the day was over, Naruto and Sasuke were walking home together. Enough display of their abilities had been put on for today. While doing so, Naruto noticed that someone was following them since they had left the academy. With chakra signature that high and unhidden, along with the sloppy skills and stealth, he knew who was following them. Something which Naruto had actively tried to avoid. Naruto was not having a good day. First, she slept in. Second, she was pampered like a little child in front of everybody in the academy. Third, her brother, despite not being as talented as her, should have been included in the pamperment. If not for his own sake, then for the sake of keeping her company. Fourthly, her said weak brother had made an entrance and displayed use of jutsu that were nowhere near 10 times the level that any academy had the right to use. And worst of all, he had kept her, his own twin sister, in the dark about these skills, and from what she saw on the faces of her parents when she told them about it when they came to pick her up, they didn't know anything about it either. The offer to also take Naruto home was politely declined by her brother saying that he was going with Sasuke to his house. The cherry on top was the fact that now he was avoiding her. This all didn't sit well with the Jinchuriki as she had almost always gotten what she wanted. And now her own brother had become a mystery to her, and was trying to deny her of answers. You go on ahead, Sasuke. I'll catch you later, Naruto suddenly said, stopping in his tracks. Why? You know who has been following us? Sasuke asked. Naruto gave a single nod. I have an important matter to settle, he said. Sasuke understood immediately. He just nodded and went ahead. When he was clear from the view, Naruto called out, You know I can sense you, right? Dash. There was a shuffling in the tree nearest to him and a girl dropped down. Nei-chan, Naruto finished. They were in a standoff, each looking defiantly in the other's eyes. So, why were you following me? Naruto asked suddenly, with a bright smile completely different from his earlier serious demeanor. Naruto was taken aback. Why is he smiling all of a sudden? She thought. She was confused but decided to play along. Why? Well, can't a sister check up on her brother to make sure he is all right or isn't with some strange company? She mockingly asked the question which she wanted the answer to. My company, as you said it, are my friends and teachers, all of whom are well known and introduced to Tusan. You know Sasuke, Guy, Lee, and Kakashi quite well. Well, Everybody except one, Naruto replied, smirking. Naruto thought she had him now. Whoever this person was, he was responsible for her brother's sudden increase in power. Oh, so who is this mystery man? And why didn't you tell Tusan or anyone else about it? Naruto had unknowingly pressed the wrong button. Naruto was angry now. She is the one responsible for all this but still acts like she has no clue. Well, the person is Shursui Uchiha and Tusan does know about him. As to why I didn't bother telling any of you about it, ask yourself why. Naruto was shocked by his sudden outburst. Since we were little, you have always been favored by our parents. Whether it was playing, training, or even calling for dinner. They just tended to you and they believed that I was satisfied as well. When we were playing, Ka-san would always give me a toy or two and would herself play with you. During training, I was just given a book to read and practice on my own while our parents focused on only you. To hell with the fox. They could have given me a little attention too. I didn't ask for much. Just a tip here, a correction there. That's all I ever wanted. But that proved too much for them to provide to their other child. People do not recognize me for me. They only know me as the Yandame's son, or the brother of Naruto. Eventually, you guys stopped caring. The only times I got a response from Ka-san was a whenever I wished her good morning. Tusan did the talking, but that too was consisted of not now, later and things like that. They just didn't have time for me. And you, Nei-chan, even though we're twins, you still couldn't understand me. The pain that I was going through, the agony that I had to face due to the negligence. And you never even put a hand out to me. Naruto was barely talking loudly, yet his words were almost piercing to the Jinchuriki. Naruto was bewildered. I was that rude to him? Not just me, but our parents as well. To say that she was ashamed of herself was a huge understatement. Enanai-san, I didn't mean that. I always thought that you were less favored, but never thought it was this bad. Naruto went silent and broke down crying in the middle of the street. That sight was enough to melt Naruto's heart. He didn't hate his sister. She was given her burden when she was not even an hour old. Shoo! Shoo! Don't cry, Ruko-chan. Naruto held her in his arms, giving her a tight but soothing hug. She started to cry even harder seeing that her brother still cared for her even when she hadn't been there for him. I love you a lot, but still I had to face all that alone. And for that I can't forgive you. I need some time. Though I don't blame you for the rest. You couldn't help much with what was done for you. You know, with the fox inside your belly, you needed that attention. So I don't blame you. It was not even your choice. But I still don't like Tuchan and Ka-chan for what they did. They should have balanced more efficiently. Naruto's sobs got softer, but she was now angry at their parents for putting her brother in this position. Naruto, however, understood her. No, you won't say anything to them. If they truly do care, they will realize it themselves. But you won't say a word to them. Got it? Naruto meekly nodded. Good. Let's head home, Naruto said, pulling her on his back and giving her a shunshin ride back home. Naruto was happy that her brother had opened up to her but was still depressed about what she did. Chapter 5. Oh crap was all Naruto had to say. He had just arrived at his home when he found his parents standing outside. Waiting for him, probably for the first time. But he knew better. It was the direct and inevitable result of the display of skills earlier today with Sasuke. Seriously, what was I even thinking? We were practically asking for a detailed interrogation event after this little stunt of ours. Naruto berated himself. All the clan elders would be interested after their other classmates spill their guts, which would undoubtedly included the Nimikes and the Uchiha in some way or the other. All in all, Naruto was not having a good time. He could sense the amount of distrust and doubt in the atmosphere. Though his father was a prime example of a stoic ninja whenever he wanted, but now, even his calm demeanor was breaking. His mother, the ever-expressive woman, she was, let's leave her out of the question. Dinner was prepared already and the table was set. His parents were just standing there awaiting their arrival and asked them to wash themselves and come to dinner. While it seemed to be, it was actually not even remotely close to normal. Usually their father had just come home and was tired as hell. Their mother, though left Minato out, always insisted that everyone should help in making dinner and serving it. Something related to family bonding, not that it improved anything between them. Naruto only attended it for cooking skills. Anyways, the dinner was already served and everyone was sitting down. They just said a barely audible itadakimatsu and began eating. It was a silent affair in the beginning. Everyone was quiet, though Naruto could feel his parents' glaring holes in him. This made him feel uncomfortable and slightly annoyed. Who wouldn't? This went on for a little while, until Naruto decided to break the silence. "Aren't you going to ask us how was our first day at the academy?" She was frankly scared of the eerie silence. Minato didn't budge. Kushina was not doing much better. Almost a minute passed. Naruto was a bit pissed at this. "Hey, you two," she asked a question. Minato was startled. Kushina was lost. He was never this disrespectful, was he? She mused inwardly. Give her a reply at least. Naruto fumed again. He was now completely pissed. Minato decided this was enough. Hey, calm down, Naruto. We were gonna do just that, he said, trying to calm things down before they escalated. Naruto, however, was now greatly irritated by their behavior. Well, that was Naruto, a little overprotective of his sister. Please indulge us with your answer as soon as you finish dissecting me with your eyes. We are waiting, he spoke calmly. Naruto snorted at this. The way that they were looking at him like a peculiar specimen, and the stoicism that they were displaying had finally gotten to him. As a result, he had gone from being expressive to being the ever-unexpressive as a ninja is supposed to be. This reminded Minato of the Umbu that he was used to seeing every day. Perfect shinobi, taking lives without a second thought. And he did not like it. This was their 8-year-old son, for God's sake. He should certainly not act like them at this age. Kushina did not took it well. She was outraged. Listen up, young man. You are not allowed to shout at your parents. Do you get that? She shouted, with her hair starting to levitate behind her. She looked scary, and the father and daughter pair were righteously scared by this sight. No one in their right mind would piss Kushina off. It was common knowledge. You don't jump on a kunai, you don't sit on red-hot metal, and you don't piss Kushina namikes. A basic sense of self-preservation taking over at such times. Naruto, however, had seen scarier scenes while practicing genjutsu with Kakashi. Admittedly, he didn't know her strength, but he didn't care about that. She was in the wrong here, so he just replied, stoically again, understood. This caught Kushina off guard. She was going to continue her rant, but this little reply shut her up. She expected a lot of reactions from him, but not this. Any more instructions for me, Ka-san? Naruto replied, getting up. Everyone then noticed that he had finished his dinner. Minato began to quickly think of something that would ease the stressful environment up. He did not want Naruto to go off like this. Again, he was their son, for God's sake. And Kushina was hell-bent on distancing him from them. However, Naruto was walking near to the window by now. So Minato snatched the opportunity quickly and asked his question while everyone was too busy trying to get over the recent set of events that had occurred. The sign of an excellent and accomplished ninja right there. How did you do it? Minato asked, now standing as well. Naruto just moved closer to the window and opened it. A strong breeze came in. I promised Sasuke that I will camp with him, as a form of celebration. I will be leaving now, Naruto said a few seconds later. Kushina then chose the moment to pitch in. We didn't give you the permission to leave. And answer your two-sans question first. Naruto said, still not facing them. Preach what you practice, Ka-san. You haven't answered Imitu's question yet. And as for your answer, because of training and with the help of my friends who were there for me when I needed them the most, stressing at the friends and the last part. He then proceeded to jump out of the window and re-emerged seconds later on a giant hawk. Flying. Sasuke was on the neck of the huge summon. And as for your permission, I didn't ask for it. With that, the giant summon left the area flying. Everyone was quiet. They did not expect such a behavior from Naruto. Naruto, however, thought it to be justified. She then pointed out, look, Nasan forgot his camping gear. How will he camp now? She said in a bored tone. I guess he was a bit too angry at you guys. Minato and Kushina looked at each other accusingly, each for a different reason. Suddenly, as if to answer Naruto's question, there was a flash of orange from the scrolls, and they disappeared, leaving everyone shocked. Minato was just about to reach for them and try to take them to Naruto as an excuse to talk to him again, but the opportunity was just snatched from his hands. It seems Naruto just doesn't want to talk to them right now, but they would get their chance. Or so Minato and Kushina thought. Naruto took up the job of explaining the day's events, minus the talk she had with her brother. This just bothered them and fueled their curiosity more. Naruto was proving to be too good of a prodigy, even from the standards of Kakashi and Itachi. Elsewhere, Naruto sat down on the hawk that Sasuke was carrying him on, relieved. Thanks for that. I owe you one, Naruto said. No worries. I myself needed to escape from my place, Sasuke replied. So, what's your story? Naruto asked. I was a freaking celebrity at the compound. Everybody was greeting me today when I arrived. Somehow the bastards got the wind of what had happened, Sasuke replied. Probably Itachi, Naruto suggested. Probably, said Sasuke. Well, then I had dinner with my parents first time that I had seen father attend, and Toussaint just went on and on about how capable I was bound to be, being the son of Fugaku and brother to Itachi. The constant comparison got to me, and it got to me bad. I literally stormed out of there, Sasuke explained. Literally the only good thing that happened to me was when I was given the Hawk summoning contract by Toussaint as a gift for entering the academy. Personally, I think it was a reward for being a prodigy and proving to be better than the rest of the class on the entrance day no less. But probably it was incentive, Sasuke explained, disgusted by his parents' actions. Naruto cringed at this, but absently wondered about getting his own summons. Dad had the toads, along with Jiraiya-san. It was almost a family lineage. Sasuke then asked, So, what did I rescue you from? Oh, nothing. The usual. But I kinda lost it on them today. But in my own defense, it was justified. Naruto then proceeded to tell him about all the events of the day. Well, enough with the depressing stuff and let's get down to business, Sasuke said. Agreed. How about a spar? To freshen ourselves up first, Naruto suggested. Sure, Sasuke replied, and the chaos ensued. Half an hour of axe kicks to the head, hard jabs to the gut, sweeping legs, bitch-slapping punches, and an overall violent combat later, we find our two heroes laying exhausted on the ground, heaving heavy breaths and groaning repeatedly. I think we should slow down on the ninjutsu part a little bit. The area around us isn't as durable as we are, Sasuke said, pointing to the charred remains of the trees that were present here not more than an hour ago. The whole area had been turned into ashes and severed stones. It in no way resembled the training ground of two fresh academy students. Yup. But who is going to complain about this place? It's not like the Forest of Death is one of the more tourist-attractive places, Naruto replied, too tired to move a muscle. He felt like his whole body was a big bruise. Sasuke, on the other hand, was not doing much better. He in fact had broken a rib in their light spar. Tomorrow was the first taijutsu lesson in the academy. This was not going to help. Now, in the midst of battle and the resulting exhaustion, how can one expect a pair of academy students, albeit overpowered for that title, to sense a giant spider coming towards the source of heat in the forest? Courtesy of the fire dragon by a distressed Sasuke. The fire was proving to be a source of heat for the creature and provided warmth in the cold breezes of the night. Good for the spider, not so much for the blonde and the raven-headed. In their musings, suddenly Naruto went silent mid-sentence. He had felt the small but largely distributed mass of chakra approaching too late. Whoever it was already in hearing range. Sasuke noticed the lack of continuation from Naruto and decided to finish the sentence for him. So you just straight away bent backwards and slashed it in his face? Guy would definitely have a scar after that stunt. Sasuke chuckled a little. Still no response from Naruto. Hey Naruto, you okay dude? Sasuke asked concerned. What can be large but does not have much chakra? Naruto said in a barely audible voice. Sasuke was confused. This was completely off topic, but decided to indulge him nonetheless. A mob of civilians, a chakra conducting hill, loads of other things. Why do you ask? It was my mistake that I didn't found out sooner. There is currently a large object, capable of mobility, with little chakra moving slowly towards us. Currently at 6 o'clock, 20 meters behind the bushes. Naruto replied in tone that meant business. Sasuke looked towards that direction with his Sharingan active and widened. That thing is enormous. It also has several spikes originating from its body, I think. Nope, not spikes. That's a big-ass spider we got ourselves here, he commented. Not a friendly, if the direction he is walking in is any indication. Normally, an experienced genin could take care of such a threat easily. But these were not yet graduates, tired nonetheless. How could they expect to survive this thing? I would take care of it if I was at full capacity, but right now, I'm tired as hell. And from the looks of it, you are too, Naruto said, earning a nod from Sasuke. God, this just ain't my day, replied Naruto, now groaning and trying to move his muscles from their stiff condition. We need a plan, fast, Sasuke said, and he and Naruto began to discuss strategy, the while calmly laying down and spider nearing dangerously close to them. Another minute of discussion, and a humongous claw stomped down on them. When the smoke cleared, there was nothing but a piece of log and a big stone in their place. The plan had commenced. They were both running low on chakra, so the strategy had to involve the least amount of jutsu. Sasuke leapt up to a higher branch of the tree on which he was standing to avoid a claw that immediately took his position and ripped the 2-meter-thick branch out of the tree. The resulting shockwave destabilized the tree and forced Sasuke to jump to the next one. Naruto, meanwhile, had just dodged another one of the claws. The spider seemed to be getting smarter with each move. Now, instead of just blind smashes, it was trying to predict the exact landing place of its blonde target and redirect the claw there. The creature was no normal spider. It had heavily plated skin. No amount of small explosive kunai could go through it, and a huge explosion would draw unnecessary attention in the middle of the night. Naruto seemed to be having a difficult time but was deceptively doing his work. The said work being that one of his cloned was preparing a strong barrier seal and was slapping them with the personal summon seals for Naruto, who was summoning them at every few stops to create a perimeter in the clearing and trap the creature there with the barrier seal. Sasuke was helping to distract the spider. Fire style. Fireball jutsu, he yelled, throwing a massive fireball at the spider, pushing it towards its right. Naruto pitched in with his wind style. Great breakthrough, effectively destabilizing the creature and causing it to fall face-first into the ground. The spider threw one of its claws towards Sasuke, who was mid-air and thus could not defend himself. Suddenly he felt a pull and he was replaced by Naruto, who was now in his place and was holding his kunai with wind chakra laced over it. The leg was pierced by the kunai. Sasuke shot a thanking glance at Naruto and continued his work when suddenly Naruto was assaulted by two of the other said legs. Naruto, however, blocked the first with both of his legs and aimed his other kunai towards the second one, managing to pierce the said appendage. He didn't notice a third one being sent in his direction, aiming to bisect him. Sasuke decided to repay the favor and hit the head of the spider with a fire style Phoenix Flower, distracting the creature. In that moment, Naruto managed to cleave through the cut and escape just in time. This caused the creature to fall on the ground with a loud thump. Seeing the chance, Naruto shunshined towards the rest of the perimeter and placed the seals. He was just about to activate them when the creature started to move and one of its legs went out of the boundary. The seal cannot be activated until the area is clear of obstructions, Naruto shouted frantically. What type of seal can hold a creature of that size, but cannot be created due to a mere leg? Sasuke shouted back, distressed. Meanwhile, the creature had managed to move more of its legs out of the boundary. Naruto was frustrated. He and Sasuke looked at each other and nodded, and then took off at high speeds towards the offending appendages. Naruto used his wind style, Divine Wind, a low-powered one due to the stress on his coils, and blew the leg back in the perimeter. Sasuke charged with a loud battle cry and took out his tanto, channeling Raitun chakra through it. The sword glowed blue as lightning began to spark out of it. With the Raitun enhanced sword in hand, he cleaved clean through the leg. effectively disjoining it from the creature's body. The spider roared loudly in agony, pulling in all its legs in an attempt to ease the pain. Naruto saw the opportunity and activated the barrier. Now, this was no ordinary barrier. It was a complex one that would be able to use the space-time ninjutsu of Naruto's in the form of a barrier. Things could go in, but anything that attempted to go out would be teleported to the other side of the barrier using the same mechanism as his summon tag. The creature just madly wriggled and screamed loudly as it slowly destroyed itself in an attempt to be free. This was a sight which made Naruto and Sasuke empty their intestines, and not the regular way. After all, it was their first kill. The first ones are always the most difficult, concluded Kakashi and Shisui, who had been sent by Minato on a search and destroy mission for the same giant spider and look after Naruto and Sasuke. It had killed over 100 in a nearby non-shinobi village and consequently had a reward of over 1.5 times the standard pay for an A-rank mission. This proved to be quite helpful after all. Such an incident would help them not to freeze on the spot when they perform their first actual kill. But they didn't need to know that now. Right now they needed their senses for comfort, something that Kakashi and Shisui were willing to provide. Though not human, will-thing screams of almost anyone can provide for a gruesome sight. They were kids after all. Shisui went to Sasuke and Kakashi to Naruto. They comforted their respective charges who broke down on their shoulders. After a while of continuous sobbing and incoherent mumbling about the helplessness of the creature that they had just killed in order to save themselves, the two Umbu had decided to tell them about the deeds that the creature had performed, including the reward on its head. This eased up the duo and earned a chuckle from Naruto and a smirk from Sasuke. Come now, it's quite late. You need to sleep. After all, you still have academy tomorrow, Kakashi said to them. Shisui elbowed Kakashi in the shoulder and told the duo, from tomorrow, you guys have to focus on your academy more as well as on the training. Because what you faced here is a fraction, the tip of the iceberg of the cruel reality of the shinobi world. You will face this every day and every time you are called upon to perform such a task. You must be strong for this, both in here and in here, Shisui said, lightly tapping their head and heart towards the end. And with that, their shinobi life truly started. The years at the academy flew by extremely fast, with Shisui and Kakashi occasionally taking them out with them on C and B ranks, with the permission of the Hokage and Fugaku, of course. D ranks were a common for them and served as a source of income for them, and they continued to excel in their class, always staying on top. They had also managed to successfully leave their parents out of their personal lives so they could train and improve in peace. During the final month of the academy, Mizuki was discovered by Anko during a special surveillance mission. The traitorous bastard was trying to steal the scroll of seals from the Hokage Tower, but an important message from Orochimaru to him during this time was intercepted by Anko and her team. Due to this, the academy was delayed by 2 months, something barely relating to Mizuki-sensei being sent on a long mission by the Hokage. A replacement had to be found, which took another month. At the end of the first month, Sasuke was out camping with Naruto again when Naruto sensed someone nearby. What are you doing here, Kakashi-sensei? We don't have training until tomorrow morning, said a sleepy Naruto, Sasuke coming up right beside him. Chop chop, little maggots. We are leaving for a C-rank potential A-rank mission tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, Kakashi replied. Where to? Sasuke asked, sleep gone and curiosity taking over. Shisui suddenly appeared beside Kakashi, ready in his Umbu gear for this mission, and gave the answer to the question: to wave. Chapter 6. To wave, Shisui said. So, get ready by tomorrow morning and we'll meet at the gates. Any questions? Kakashi asked. Still no response. Did you guys die of excitement or something? Kakashi asked. Shisui was thinking along the same lines. Yeah. Quite a few, Sasuke said, being the first one to break out of their first C-rank-induced stupor. Oh, glad to see you alive. Shoot, he replied. Why weren't we told about this earlier? Sasuke asked. Why is the mission of an indeterminate duration? Kakashi sighed. They still needed to have an official briefing experience so as to avoid such behavior. The brats are still excited about missions. Well, it can't be helped. We were kids once too, he thought, glancing at the sky. Weren't we, Rin, Abito? And whilst in his musings, he forgot about the time passing. By the time he came back to, Shursui had finished explaining the boys the specifics of the mission, including the situation with Gatu, who were now staring at him intently. What? Asked Kakashi. Is there something on my face? Making an innocent expression. The boys just face-palmed. Kakashi was, by now, quite infamous amongst the four for his frequent space-outs. They would try to inquire about his thoughts, but he would just comment something related to life and whatnot. It was getting very annoying very quickly. Anyways, off they went to sleep and prepare for tomorrow's mission. Let it be noted that the word they used in the previous sentence was used strictly door the Jonans. As for the academy graduates, well, they would be the ninja equivalent of a kid on Sugar Rush. Back at home, their families were now kept firmly at bay due to the combined efforts of Kakashi and Shursui, Sasuke/Naruto depending on the case in consideration, and a certain someone whose opinion was always held in high regard. This certain someone was the one and only Hiruzen Sarutobi, aka Sandaime, and Kami no Shinobi, quite the influential personality. After the first time Sasuke and Naruto were taken to a mission along with Shursui, under the guise of training, the Hokage was furious and the Uchiha had taken a rather big disliking to Shursui. The danger, however, was prevented with the help of their savior, the Sandaime. Kakashi had approached the god of shinobi and had explained the whole situation to him. The old man understood their stationing. Though not entirely able to sympathize, he was always up for strengthening of the new leaves. Hiruzen had been very generous in accepting the blame for Shursui's actions and had also effectively convinced both the families of the benefits that this sort of training would provide the two young shinobi aspirants. Although it took a heart-to-heart between Kakashi and Minato, as well as a total undertaking of responsibility of Sasuke by Shursui from Fugaku, none of this would have been possible without the efforts of the Sandaime. He has also been an active part of training of these two prodigies, which included scrolls from the Sarutobi clan library and occasional spars, the latter of which sometimes included Enma, his summon. Though afterwards the name Enma became sort of a taboo errand, the kids due to the ape's sadistic nature whilst training. The next morning, Sasuke got up early. He planned to get out of the house before anybody was awake. He had prepared the breakfast last night when he came back home and prepared his mission gear. And right now he was leaving the compound. But alas, fate would not have him leave home in peace. Uchiha Itachi was here. "Where are you going to, Sasuke?" Itachi asked, suddenly appearing beside him. This startled Sasuke. So he did not detect me earlier. That makes Naruto-kun the censor, Itachi deduced. He had almost been ready to face shurikens to the face as well as being detected before even making his first move. Ready for both the best and the worst. He wasn't Uchiha Itachi for nothing. "A mission," Sasuke replied without looking at his brother. "But you are not a genin yet. Shall I assume it is another one of the missions that you accompany Kakashi-senpai and Shursui-san on?" Itachi asked. Yes, that was Sasuke's reply. "All right, did you say goodbye to Tu-san and Ka-san?" Itachi asked again, clearly wanting to talk to his brother more. "No," again came Sasuke's non-emotional reply. Itachi took many things quiet good. But his brother behaving like a soulless person was not on that list. So he took the lesser of two evils. "All right, goodbye, little brother." Itachi watched as his brother went on to his first out-of-the-village mission, evident by the look of scrolls which he usually didn't carry. "And be careful." He dumped out those three heavy words at last which had been clawing at his emotional barrier like rabid beasts. Sasuke faltered in his stepping as he was going through the trees upon hearing those words, for a fraction of a second, but then regained his footing and continued ahead. But that fraction of a second was enough to ensure Itachi of the fact that his brother was not truly gone. There was still hope left. When Sasuke arrived at the gates, he noticed Naruto already present there, sitting on the bench. Looking at him, he decided to walk up to his best friend. "Yo," he greeted. "Hey," Sasuke replied. Then looking at his face, Sasuke knew another melodramatic episode had occurred earlier this morning. "Care to enlighten me on your most recent?" he asked. Naruto just turned his head towards him and sighed. My father put up seals around the house, Naruto said. So? Every clan has them, Sasuke replied. No. There were seals earlier, but he meddled with them a bit. As a result, no one can go in or out of the house unless both the parents have unlocked the door, the blonde said. That's just dumb. They might as well just put an Umbu squad on your commuting detail. They really don't get it, do they? Sasuke sympathized. They don't. However, I don't know about a squad. But there's one of them stationed on my tail right now, Naruto said, absently pointing to a nearby building. The Umbu present there had shrills go down his back. This kid, he sensed me from that far? He is either a damn good sensor or a freak of nature. What's worse is that it even causes Naruto-chan problems. I mean, it is understandable if it's just me, but her as well? They are both idiots. Naruto finished his rant. Oh, so you had a fight on this today, didn't you? Sasuke asked. Yup, hence the Umbu. Anyways, you look like you had a little encounter yourself. Want to share it? Naruto spoke. Well, I had a little run-in with Itachi and he wished me good luck and to be careful, said the raven-haired boy. It was the first time since he was never around to do so earlier. That was a bit strange. He finished. Oh well, clear your mind. We have a mission for now, Naruto said. Hey Shisui-sensei, come on down. We were just waiting for you guys. He finished as Shisui landed beside him. Good morning to you both, Shisui said. Tazuna will be here shortly. He's had a little hangover from last night. No worries. Besides, Kakashi-sensei isn't here yet, so it's no problem. After waiting for another 10 to 15 minutes, Kakashi arrived with Tazuna in tow. Hey guys, I had to carry this troubled old person from the river all the till here. Don't worry, he can walk for himself now, Kakashi said. Tazuna, however, had that I've been mugged by the Hokage look on his face. That Hokage yellow flash or whatever, he said there would be 4 ninjas to protect me. But there are only 2 of you and a couple of diaper-wearing, thumb-sucking brats who look like they couldn't hurt a butterfly even if they wanted to dash. Tazuna was suddenly interrupted in his rant on seeing that he had gotten less than what he paid for. Said interruption was caused by a barrage of kunais that whizzed past him and created a perfect outline of his body on the wall behind him courtesy of Sasuke. Naruto was held up by Kakashi and had 2 seal tags between fingers of both of his hands. Who knew what purpose were they to fulfill? Careful what you say, Tazuna-san. My cousin here is very sensitive about his diapers. Shisui mocked both Tazuna and Sasuke in that one sentence. Tazuna went pale, and Sasuke started glaring at Shisui. Naruto, you must not let your guard down so easily. Someone could have taken advantage of that and have you stay at home, Kakashi said, hinting to the hidden Umbu on the rooftop. Upon hearing this, Shisui too looked in the direction of the said spy and gave him a smile. A strange, knowing smile. I might as well come down from here and stand in front of them. The only person who doesn't know about my presence is that drunk builder. Sigh, no respect for an Umbu just doing his duties, he muttered to himself. Well, enough time wasted. Let's get on with the mission, Kakashi said. And with that, they went out to the forest out of Konoha to the land of waves. An hour or so of walking later. So, how is your home, Tazuna-san? Naruto asked. I've never been to another country before, Naruto said. Yup, neither have I, Sasuke pitched in. Tazuna felt a little pride in explaining about his hometown that these 2 little kids had shown interest in. He also told them about the bridge that he had been building and all the riches it once possessed but had slowly deteriorated since Gato had come there. Basically small talk. This continued for a while. Suddenly, everybody went quiet. This was due to Naruto, who was staring at a small puddle at a distance. Said blonde's hand was out and had started to do some weird signs. Not jutsu ones, just regular sign language. Tazuna couldn't comprehend what was going on, but he did notice the heads of all the other people nod in answer to some unasked question. All right, Naruto, your petition is granted. This would be a test for you both. Let's see how you perform, Kakashi said. Ready, Shisui said loudly. Sasuke and Naruto nodded their heads. 3. They took their respective stances. 2. They took out their weapons. 1. They crouched. Go! They sprang. The puddle of water suddenly turned into a pair of bodies which separated themselves from each other, each wearing a slashed kiri headband. One going to an end of the road while the other went to the next end. They had attached themselves to each other with a chain that was placed on a gauntlet on their hands. Naruto and Sasuke had aimed at the puddle, but their targets were agile and smart. Now they were heading towards the chain laced with spikes which wanted to decapitate them. Sasuke had already activated his Sharingan and was thus able to track all the movements and trajectories. He acted quickly and pushed Naruto upwards, mid-flight, and threw himself on the ground, thus successfully evading the chain by rolling under it and managing to save Naruto as well by having him flying above it. He skidded to a stop on the ground. Naruto was just about to land when their eyes met. They shared a few quick thoughts and suddenly kicked each other, Naruto's momentum throwing both of them towards one of the enemies. Naruto went in straight for the strike, but the ex-Kiri Nin had pulled the gauntlet between them, the said gauntlet now brandishing claws. Naruto quickly enacted by twisting himself mid-air and sweep-kicking the missing Nin's face. All those strength training sessions paid off at that moment when he literally heard the jaw breaking under the force of his kick. Gozu! A shout was heard from the other side of the road. The man, now identified as Gozu, had flown off the ground and landed a good 5 meters away. He was in shock, less from the pain, more from the strength behind that kick from a kid. Before he could say or do anything, he saw Naruto make one hand sign and a flash of red appeared right before his eyes. Then, everything went black. Meanwhile, with Sasuke had made great use of the Sharingan and managed to throw a kunai between one of the links of the chain which caused it to deviate from between himself and his enemy. The said enemy had also now taken out claws and was now trying to put some distance between himself and Sasuke. Sasuke, upon seeing this, summoned his Chikudo from the seal that Naruto had placed on him. Now the ex-Kiri Nin was scared. Sasuke made short work of him using his Kenjutsu and placed one of Naruto's summon seals on his claws. His Chikudo was sticking out of one of the Rug Nin's leg and was stabbed into the ground. The claws were suddenly gone and were impaled into the chest of Gozu, who was dead right on the spot. Meizu cursed himself and the kid. Naruto, on the other hand, was just sitting there, eyes glazed over. His seal, no. He killed a guy. Somewhat similar thoughts going on in Sasuke's head. It my doing. I put the seal on that guy. If I wouldn't have listened, Naruto would have taken care of it eventually. It was me. That person. What was dead. He had a brother, so he might just have had a family. A mother, who would be patiently, but fearfully waiting for her kids' return and well-being. A father, who would have been eager to share a drink with his grown-up kids when they returned with a bounty. A sister who would have been eager to listen to their most recent exploits. All those images flashed through their minds. A mother crying for her son. A father having to bury his own blood. A sister weeping endlessly for the demise of her valiant brother. Gatu was behind this. He was the one responsible for the poor state that Wave was currently in and had also hired these missing Nin as well as a Zabuza for his work. The Kodoame Tsukumi was brilliant for such instances. What did you do to them? Kakashi whispered quickly to Shisui. Whilst the Mangekyo was active, I thought to redirect their anger at a certain someone. That would give them a purpose and a drive. But most importantly, it would help them get their proper first kills over with. Shisui replied. Kakashi smirked at his fellow Nin. He truly was one of a kind. Once he had wiped the blood off his eyes and the mood settled, Shisui said to the trio, well, it seems like Zabuza is their second line of defense. He will be waiting near the coast area with his accomplice. Now, Zabuza is an A-rank missing Nin and not a joke. So, Sasuke quit smirking. Shui suddenly scolded Sasuke as he knew what was going on in his mind. Come on. He is just an A-rank. You both are A-ranks too. You can take him on. Besides, I just want to try and fight him. Just a little. Not much. Just to get a measure of his power. Sasuke defended, pouting slightly. Seeing this, Naruto also had a glint in his eyes. No means no. Don't you get that? He is one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of Mist, Kakashi explained in an effort to calm their curiosity. Not a good move. Now the younger duo's eyes were practically sparkling brightly. You both just cut it out. We are not going to just let you in on a battle like this, Shursui said. Yup, Kakashi agreed. We're gonna need a plan. Chapter 7. Yup, Kakashi agreed. We're gonna need a plan. Okay, cool. Then let's make a plan to stop Zabuza, Suetun, A-Class, Kenjutsu, Naruto said. Oh, stop looking at me like that. I use my clones to help me with my reading. It's obvious as they can remember anything that they experience. Plus, they were invented for the purpose of scouting, right? Naruto defended himself. All right. What else do you know about him? Shursui asked. Let's see. He was a Kiri-nin, owner of the Neck Cleaver, part of 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist, was accused for attempting murder of the Mizukage. No known accomplice, till now. Master of silent killing. Uses mist to cover for his attacks and an accomplished Suetun user. Anything I missed? Naruto said, trying his best not to smirk at his friends' faces. It was quite the surprise seeing Naruto know all this stuff. But the only ones who were surprised were Kakashi and Shursui. Sasuke already knew Naruto's habits and Tazuna didn't know Naruto much to have any preconceptions. He just shook it off as common knowledge for ninjas. But the moment was short-lived. They had already taken a boat and were about to reach the docks of Nami no Kuni. This was the place where they had been warned that Zabuza was waiting for them, courtesy of Kodo Amatsukami. When they were just about to get off the boat, Kakashi and Shursui laid out the plan. Okay guys, here's the plan. It's quite simple. Me and Shursui are going to take care of Zabuza while you two are going to search for his accomplice and are going to eliminate him. Meanwhile, we will restrain Zabuza and are going to interrogate him on the whereabouts of Gatu. Are we clear? Kakashi asked at the end. Ah man, that's not fair. This is cheating. You guys get to fight the strong guy and we are left with a no-name nobody. Naruto and Sasuke complained. The two Jonin sighed. This type of behavior was not expected of shinobi. But what could they do? They were kids after all. Just small, curious little kids. But curiosity kills the cat. And these kids were definitely not a sacrificial bunch. No means no. You may face him when you are Chunin or above. But as of now, you guys are not even registered genin. So please don't make this any more stupid than it has to be. You have your orders. Now follow them. Shursui scolded. After that, they got out of the boat and went on. The plan was in motion. Naruto was searching for this accomplice of Zabuza's. As of Zabuza, he was already spotted by the blonde and was sitting on a tree towards their back. Naruto alerted his team of the impending danger via signals. Ahaha! There you are! Naruto suddenly exclaimed. Zabuza was just about to throw his giant sword when he stopped midway. What the hell does this kid mean? And why the hell is he even here? He is not even a genin, Zabuza thought by seeing the Haida-less heads of Naruto and another raven-headed boy. Whilst in his musings, he had failed to notice two things. One, that the real Tazuna was currently safe and was being escorted by a bunch of clones from each member of the team. Each clone carrying almost half of the original strength so as to protect themselves and Tazuna in case of a mishappening. Second, that Naruto was now seeing exactly towards the place where Haku was hiding. Shit, they know where Haku is now. That kid, he must be a censor. Damn underage Konoha prodigies. Zabuza cursed. He was right too. Konoha seemed to have an endless supply of those. From Sarutobi to these little brats. All the way including the Sanins, Minato, Fugaku, Itachi, Shursui, and Kakashi. Konoha seemed to possess a strange breeding mechanism of sorts. Anyways, Zabuza, in an effort to thwart the censor's focus, threw his sword towards them. Hopefully Haku would have noticed this and would be changing his hiding spot. Naruto, however, had a definite lock on his target and also knew of Zabuza's actions. So he shouted, "Get down!" All of them obliged and ducked immediately. The neck cleaver flew above their heads and got stuck in a tree. Zabuza landed on top of it. So, Konoha decide to pay us a visit. How lovely of you to come by, Kakashi and Shursui. Zabuza spoke in a merchant of death-like tone. Good to see you too, Zabuza Momochi Shursui replied. Now I would have to ask you to leave the old man here and be on your way, or else. These two little midgets will be nothing more than sliced pieces of meat. Zabuza threatened. They are not your opponents, Kakashi said, stepping in front of Naruto and Sasuke, who have been silent the whole time because of the killing intent rolling off of the Rug Nin. Shursui also joined Kakashi. We are your enemies. Is that so? What will you do if I gut them first? Zabuza finished with an evil laughter in the end. You guys know what to do, right? Kakashi asked. They both nodded. Then go on, and do not fail. Shursui finished. Naruto and Sasuke shared a look and then took off. Where are they going? Zabuza demanded as he was forced back by an array of shurikens when he tried to go after them. To take out your friend who is hiding in the tree cover towards northwest, replied Kakashi calmly. Zabuza started to laugh out loud. You think that those two civilians can defeat Haku? He is my trump card. Not even a Chunin has a chance at him. What can they do? Ha 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 ha. You'll see for yourself. Just wait, Shursui said. I would be more worried about myself if I were you. It's not every day that you get to fight two A-ranked shinobi at the same time. Kakashi finished. He and Shursui activated their respective sharingans and glared at him. With the two of them here, it's supposed to be easy. Zabuza himself was not one to back down without a fight. He activated his infamous Kirigakure no Jutsu and covered the whole clearing in mist within a matter of seconds. Now with this jutsu active, you can shove those fancy eyes up your butts. Zabuza's voice came from everywhere. This is going to be a pain, Shursui complained. Yup, but we can't complain now, can we? Kakashi responded. And with that, they got into their fighting stances and prepared to face Zabuza. They needed to capture him alive for more reasons than one. In order to collect the bounty on his head, and to return his sword to the mist in order to improve the relations between Konoha and the mist. Meanwhile, Naruto and Sasuke were running off to the place where Haku was hiding. Do you think they will be all right by themselves? Naruto asked, concerned for his two teachers. Yup, I know they will. They are facing Zabuza and he is an A-class. They are both A-class each. Trust me, they will be fine, Sasuke assured him. All right, besides we've got a mission ourselves, Naruto said. After a few minutes of searching, they finally located Haku. The sight before them only consisted of a small figure with long hair and a mask on. So, feigning as an Ambu. Quiet, clever, Sasuke thought. You wouldn't have happened to see a rogue ninja somewhere around here by any chance? Sasuke asked, taking the lead. Naruto caught on to his act. Yeah, he is about your height, has long hair, and is currently working with Momochi Zabuza. And Zabuza is cornered right now by two of our finest. So there is no need to worry. Have you seen him? The masked ninja just stood there motionless. He knew that he was caught. He was hoping to avoid any unnecessary bloodshed. But that won't be happening now, Haku thought. You must leave now if you value your lives, or else I will be forced to kill you, he said. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other and then smirked. What makes you think that you can beat us? Naruto asked, mocking the masked Nin. We are here with two missions. One of them is to protect the bridge builder while he makes the bridge. The other is to eliminate you, Sasuke said in a noble shit tone. With that, Sasuke activated his Sharingan and Naruto began to make his chakra flow outwards and got in their battle stances. Haku was stupefied at their behavior. They had no headbands on. This means that they are not registered ninjas. But they said that they were here with a mission to protect Tazuna, and the village from where Tazuna was to get his escorts was Konoha. All this pointed to only one fact about these strange kids. You are civilians, not even genin, but you both know how to control your chakra. This means that you both have been practicing and have been sent on a sort of test mission. Am I right? Haku asked. Why do you care? Sasuke asked. Well, it's only fitting to know about your opponents before one fights. I shall begin. My name is Haku. My name is Naruto Namikaze. Naruto chimed in. I am Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke though spoke, but still was a little bewildered by the sudden politeness in his voice. Something about this guy was off. Naruto could feel it, and judging by the little twitches in Sasuke's features, he knew something was wrong too. They will have to be careful, as they know next to nothing about this guy's abilities. Shall we begin? Haku asked, as he took out a few senbon from his pockets. Sasuke and Naruto shared a look and decided to finish this as soon as possible. Let's go, Naruto. All right, Sasuke. And with that, they launched from their respective spots on the tree. As soon as they left, that area was riddled with senbon. Next, both Naruto and Sasuke shot off towards the masked ninja and started a close-quarters combat round. But Haku proved to be more agile and was successfully backstepping each of their attacks. Shit! I can't keep dodging them like this. They will get me in no time. I will have to resort to that, Haku thought. Naruto suddenly threw a handful of kunais at him, and Haku had to jump back in order to evade. Haku sought to use the distance as an opportunity to weave the hand signs necessary for his special jutsu. But just as he was about to form the first sign, he heard Sasuke shout from behind him, "Oh no you don't," and Sasuke threw more of those kunais at him, but this time with a lightning nature change in them. Haku was again forced to evade. These brats were not allowing him to form hand signs for his jutsu, Haku thought. They were good, he thought, while nursing a cut that had been left by one of the kunais thrown by Sasuke. He was about to form another sign when suddenly Naruto was upon him, throwing punches and kicks with blinding speed. It took all that Haku had to avoid them. In the previous close encounter with him, Haku had noticed the strength behind each of these kids' punches when their attacks were swooshing past him. It would be a bad idea to get hit by either of them. But Haku was fast enough to avoid one of them at a time. When Naruto was just about to punch again, Haku started to bend backwards to avoid him. This would be a perfect evasion. Except, Sasuke, from his place behind Naruto, threw another lightning-enhanced kunai towards the top of Haku's head, thus effectively making his escape by jumping impossible. While Haku was momentarily distracted by the fact that his escape routes were being closed, suddenly in Naruto's hands was that lightning-enhanced kunai. This was one of those special kunais of Naruto. This kunai increased the range of his attack, went ahead and was about to behead Haku, but he was fast. He used his agility and flexibility to its best to avoid the blow and was able to avoid being beheaded. Unfortunately, his mask was slashed. Crack. The mask broke and dropped on the ground. Behind the mask, Haku's face was revealed, and it was beautiful. Long black hair, extremely pale, all the feminine features present that any man could think of. And Sasuke and Naruto's eyes bulged out. They both thought of only one thing. Damn. They were staring at him, or was it a her? They had no idea. Naruto was the first to gather his bearings. Wait, you are a girl? Why didn't you say so? Haku let out a very feminine giggle and said in a playful tone, why? If I told you I was a girl, would you let me win? Or would you hold back just because I was a girl? Haku continued. We wouldn't, this time it was Sasuke. But we would have appreciated a heads up. We could have touched you in the wrong places. Sasuke was now blushing. Haku laughed. That is so sweet of you. But if you want to kill me, touching me in the wrong places wouldn't matter. Naruto was now blushing but still managed to say out loud, we are not perverts. Haku laughed again. I didn't say that you were. And for the record, I'm a boy. And the bomb was dropped. No man should be able to look this beautiful, thought the duo. You bastard. You will pay, Sasuke shouted. Naruto's sweat dropped at his friend's antics and explained to Haku. He is very sensitive about his preferences in courtship. He believed that he was straight, but now you've raised doubts in his head. And a confused Sasuke plus an angry Sasuke is not a good mixture, Naruto explained. Meanwhile, Sasuke was furious. Hey Naruto, Kakashi and Shisui might need our help. We have to squash this bug quickly and go to them. Sasuke seethed. Sure thing, Sasuke. Let's go, Naruto said. During this distraction, Haku had already weaved the necessary hand signs for his jutsu. Well, sorry about your feelings, Haku said as ice mirrors finished forming around them and a chill went up their spines. But Zabuza-sama needs my assistance. And I cannot afford to waste any more time here. He finished as the ice dome was completed and the duo was trapped. Haku stepped into one of the mirrors and her reflection was seen in each of them, which now covered the interior of the said dome, and spoke in a deadly calm tone, "Your end is near." Chapter 8. Haku stepped into one of the mirrors and his reflection was seen in each of the mirrors. "Your end is near." Crystal clear and extremely sharp senbon appeared in Haku's hands. All of the Hakus. "Know this, I do not want to hurt you, but it is my job as a ninja, as a killer, to take your life to complete my mission. And right now, my mission is to protect Zabuza-sama and you are standing in my way." And with that, he threw the senbon. "These children are strong. I cannot afford to hold back." Every reflection seemed to be able to throw those senbon along with him. All of them real, not mere mirages. And if you would ask our duo, they hurt like hell. Damn it. They were in a world of pain. Senbons were flying in from every possible direction. Hence, all the speed that they used to overwhelm Haku didn't account for shit right now. Only the kunai that Naruto had and the chikudo that Sasuke had just unsealed were the only defense that the boys had. "Sasuke!" Naruto shouted. "On it," Sasuke replied, as he chanted Mugen Yami. The surroundings inside the dome instantly changed to pure blackness, something he picked up from Shursui. Though Haku could throw needles from seemingly everywhere, keyword being seemingly, his needles needed a general direction to go. And not each mirror was able to throw those, due to the fact that those needles needed a constant supply of humidity to able to keep their structure. And Zabuza wasn't here with his Kirigakure no Jutsu right now. "What do we do now?" Naruto asked from inside the dome of darkness. Just as the words left his mouth, a hail of sunbon hit him, or rather the place where he was supposed to be. Sasuke had pulled him aside just in time. "Sho," Sasuke spoke in a hushed tone. "He can still hear us." Naruto hummed in response. "He uses the Hayaton ice release, not a weak style. We need to get out of this dome or else we are done for." Sasuke summed up the situation. "Yup, and from the kunais I threw while trying to break those, it failed miserably. Not even a scratch. I guess we need something powerful for that," Naruto suggested. And Sasuke knew what he was talking about. They both smirked and suddenly the dark dome faded. The darkness faded to reveal the duo standing, facing right into the mirror in which Haku actually was. The said person got chills up his spine when he saw them both. The blonde with multiple highly compressed spheres of pure wind chakra hovering over his hands, and the raven head with puffed cheeks and a small spark from between his lips. And then they both let loose their respective attacks. Wind style, vacuum spheres. Fire style, phoenix flower. The balls of fire and wind attacked the mirror together and blew it apart. Though Haku was able to escape that blast by ejecting himself from that mirror, he wasn't fast enough in doing so and now hoisted severe burns all over his body. The rest of the dome shattered due to the sheer strength of that attack. When the smoke and mist lifted, Naruto and Sasuke walked out. "So, you plan on giving up yet?" Naruto asked the slightly shifting Haku. "Why you? Both. You are quiet, formidable opponents. I would have loved to have friends as strong and as close as you. But," now his voice became stern, "Zabuza Sama needs me right now, and you will not stop me." And with that battle cry, he charged. Sasuke easily sidestepped his assault and Naruto restrained him with simple earth manipulation. It was then that they saw a piece of ice was sticking out of Haku's back, just beside the spine. "Hey, are you crazy? Why were you trying to move in your condition? Does this man truly means this much to you? Tell me?" Naruto asked. "Quick, Naruto, there is no time. We have to get him to Sensei right away if we want to save his life," Sasuke shouted. Naruto nodded his head and they both picked Haku up by draping his arms over their shoulders and took off. Whilst jumping through the trees, Haku spoke to them. "You want to know why he is so important to me? I'll explain it. I was born in a small, snowy village in the land of water, a land that had suffered from war not long before. Though keeping their pace, Sasuke and Naruto kept their ears open to the story. Haku continued in this war. Different sides battled each other using ninja, some of whom possessed Kekkai Genkai. After the war ended, memories of the horrific battles still lingered in the minds of the people. Those with Kekkai Genkai quickly became feared and hated for their abilities, out of concern that their existence would only bring about more war. This was understandable. If one would face such extreme ties due to a single kind of people, they would develop a kind of hatred and fear for them. My father and mother were simple farmers, and we lived a peaceful life. They loved each other and were caring for me. Unfortunately, this all changed. Now Haku's face took on a serious expression. My mother was a wielder of a Kekkai Genkai, ice release. She hid this fact from my father, hoping that the love and peace that was shared in our small family would last forever. But Haku suddenly shivered, weakness spreading throughout his body. But he continued. But one day, I discovered the ability to manipulate water. Amazed by this, I proudly showed this to my mother, who was horrified by what she saw. She harshly scolded and slapped me for displaying this ability, though she tearfully apologized to me immediately afterwards. It's all a little foggy. I can't remember the exact details, but somehow father had seen everything from the shadows. When he discovered that his wife and child possessed a Kekkai Genkai, he assembled a small mob of villagers. Now Haku began to sob. With tears flowing down his eyes, he killed my mom. He then attempted to kill me too. But before he could, I used my ice release to create several large ice spikes which accidentally killed father and the rest of the mob. I did not mean for them to die. I just was so angry and hurt. Indeed, the spikes seemed to understand me, and they went ahead and did their job. And then my father was dead. Haku's voice seemed to get more tired with every moment. Upon seeing this, Naruto asked him to stop. Please, that's enough. Conserve your strength. You are injured. We need to get there faster. But Haku wasn't one to stop. He felt this uncontrollable desire to speak to them, to tell them of his story, and so he did. Orphan. That was all that the incident left me to become. I became a child who was wanted by no one and was forced to take to the cold streets and rummage through trash bins for scraps of food, even sometimes having to fight off the wild dogs that roamed the streets. Naruto noticed the somber look in his eyes. It was the look of hurt, of someone who knows what it's like to be truly in pain. This is where Zabuza-sama comes in. I was confronted by Zabuza-sama, a man who had the same eyes as me. He later asked me to become his weapon, which meant to become a dedicated shinobi for him, and I couldn't find a limit to my happiness. Was wanted again. Someone accepted me, and they needed me again, and I wasn't going to let this opportunity leave me. So I readily accepted this role. Haku explained with a slight, hopeful smile towards the end. He didn't just took me in, he trained me, and I accepted it all due to the purpose it gave me, and I devoted my life to becoming the ultimate tool for Zabuza-sama to use. He trained me in the ways of the shinobi, as well as every fighting technique that he knew. He, in many ways, was like the father that I always wanted. Haku suddenly seemed to grow more heavier with each leap, and it was quickly becoming hard for the duo to carry him. This concerned them, since Haku had not listened to any of their attempts to asking him to stop. He just continued, as he did now. So, it doesn't matter how much the world hates me, or how much you hate me, if Zabuza-sama wants my help, I will. No matter how big a crime he commits. And with that, he slumped on their shoulders. Shit, Naruto. We have to put him down right now, Sasuke shouted. They jumped to the ground and laid him on the ground. Naruto quickly placed his fingers on Haku's neck. There was still a pulse, albeit a weak one. Sasuke inquired about his condition. Is he alive? Although not the best way to ask, but the intention was clean. Yup, he is alive, just unconscious, Naruto answered. Although we need to hurry up, senseis might need our help. What do we do with him? Sasuke asked. Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto made 2 clone that lifted Haku and began to move towards the direction of the other battle. Remember what we were taught? Show compassion for the enemy, but not at the cost of one of your own, Naruto reminded Sasuke. The said Ravenhead had been too quiet throughout the story. Yes, you are right. Let's not waste any more time, Sasuke said with determination and goals set in his eyes. And with that, they leapt off using Shunshin to get there as soon as possible. They reached there not before long, but the sight that greeted them was just not good. Kakashi looked battered and worn. Zabuza was in a similar condition, but the one which sought most of their attention was Shursui, they both exclaimed at once. The said person was trapped in a ball of water and was looking almost out of breath. Only chakra coating his lungs sustained him for this long. What happened while we were gone? Sasuke blurted out. Oh, good to see you both back so soon. As you can see, we are in a tight spot right now and we need your help. Kakashi answered him with an intended cool statement, but his condition betrayed him. But you two are like both a rank each. How did you get into this condition? This time Naruto asked. Just as the last word escaped his mouth, a barrage of kunais and shurikens were shot out of a bush nearby and a tree beside it. You know you don't have the luxury to talk. Zabuza's cold and almost demonic voice came from the other side of the fog. Kakashi's only response to his students was, because the bastard was prepared. Flashback. Let's just end it before it starts, Zabuza. We all know that you cannot win against the two of us. Shursui spoke with the traditional Uchiha superiority complex voice. Careful, we shouldn't underestimate him. He is one of the most dangerous criminals in the world, Kakashi advised, though his voice betrayed his words of caution. You should listen to him, kid. Kakashi is more experienced than you. Zabuza spoke, his voice dripping with excitement. Interesting, so he called me a kid. That means he knows little to nothing of my abilities. This should prove beneficial, Shursui thought. Kakashi, on the other hand, was having similar thoughts. They both nodded at each other and leapt, intent on finishing this fast. Zabuza smirked and moved his index finger, and suddenly, an entire barrage of shurikens hit the duo, but they both turned into logs. Zabuza grimaced, damn, they used substitution. Now I've lost the element of surprise. Kakashi and Shursui landed some distance away from Zabuza. Well, looky here. Didn't expect the demon of the hidden mist to use something as lowly as an ambush. Did we, Kakashi? Shursui mocked. Kakashi merely made a no gesture. Yes, neither did I. But when facing off against someone stronger, one has to do all that he can. Besides, Zabuza spoke with a quiet tone at the end and made a hand sign to conjure up the mist that he had been gathering around the area. There's no fun in killing, unless I can taste your fear. Now the entire area was covered in smoke. The surroundings were completely white, and in that moment of confusion, Zabuza used the chakra-covered mist to surround Shursui and trap him in a water style. Water prison, Zabuza shouted, and suddenly Shursui was trapped in a water prison. He then swung his executioner's blade at Kakashi, who was forced to dodge by jumping back. Did you think I didn't know about your abilities, Shursui of the Shunshin? Zabuza spoke with a demonic face and let out a chuckle. Hee. Did you honestly think that I would fight both of you together? Ha! I know that your experience exceeds his, Kakashi, but his prowess with the Sharingan and its Mangekyo form is almost unmatched. He can put me under a genjutsu with those troublesome eyes of his and I'll be done for. So you plan to take him out first? Kakashi spoke in a serious tone. Shursui was in grave danger. If he didn't free him in time, then it just might be the end for Shursui Uchiha. Remember, Zabuza, you bought this on yourself, Kakashi said while revealing his Sharingan. And then the duo began fighting. You were too ignorant, Zabuza. Even I have some degree of efficiency in the Sharingan Genjutsu areas. As Kakashi was sticking near Shursui, dodging the occasional hail of incoming weapons, Zabuza struck, revealing to Kakashi that he was now fighting with his eyes closed, making the Sharingan's Genjutsu useless. You seem surprised, Kakashi. It is, after all, my speciality to kill people based purely on sound, Zabuza revealed as he ducked under a kunai thrust from Kakashi and swung his blade in an attempt to rob him of his legs. Kakashi was overwhelmed. First of all, the mist was proving too much for the Jonin to handle as he lost his advantage of Sharingan. Secondly, Zabuza was not fighting with his eyes open, so the brief moments for which he was visible, Kakashi's genjutsu arsenal was proving to be useless. And thirdly, not only did he have to protect himself, but Shursui as well from the attacks. As for the water prison holder, Zabuza had resorted to using a clone for that purpose stationed some distance apart. Nothing proved to be useful right now. Just as he was distracted by a sound of muffled bublés bursting from the water prison, possibly due to Shursui starting to lose his breath, Zabuza attempted to drive his blade straight through the heart of the said prisoner. But this attempt was thwarted by Kakashi, who blocked it with the metal plating at the back of his glove. Though Kakashi had used lightning chakra to enhance it, the water chakra-laced neck cleaver was too strong and it broke under pressure. Kakashi, having been successful in saving Shursui's life, was blown back, and another barrage of those hidden shurikens attacked him. It was getting very annoying very quickly. Zabuza's voice came from everywhere again. "So is that all the famed copycat can do?" he mocked. Suddenly, he was attacked by a number of kunais, attached with wires. He jumped over them and was now attacked by Kakashi. This confused him. "How did you find me?" Zabuza asked. "I didn't," Kakashi replied and suddenly dissipated into lightning, shocking Zabuza, literally, revealing that it was a clone. The real Kakashi ran towards the water prison and was just about to free Shursui when a water dragon erupted from it and blew Kakashi away. "Not so fast," a charred Zabuza said from a little distance away. Kakashi grunted, extremely annoyed. Flashback end. "Looks like you two got cocky," Naruto remarked. "But how do we get him before he drowns Shursui?" Sasuke asked, worried about his brother. At that moment, a greenish glow appeared from the prison, which held Shursui, and the water began to shake. All those present felt the giant aura emanating from that sphere. "Seems like Shursui was bored," Kakashi remarked, followed by the glow getting stronger and the ground shaking slightly. "And he decided to join the fight," Kakashi finished, surprising everyone. Zabuza's and practically everyone's except Kakashi. For that matter, eyes widened at what they saw. When the glow subsided, the prison broke, and Shursui was safe, but inside a giant. Chapter 9. When the prison broke, Shursui was free, but he was inside a giant. "Susanoo!" Shursui shouted. Everyone except for Kakashi was shocked. It was a green ethereal warrior, more like its upper half anyways. It had blade-like appendages on its shoulders, the side of his face, and along its arms. Its right arm wielded a drill which was coated by fire. It had a pair of glowing eyes along with a pair of extended ears, all of which can be squeezed down into two words: power and fear. "You should be proud of yourself, Zabuza," Shursui spoke to the horror-stricken Zabuza. "Out of those whom I have fought, only Itachi and Kakashi have pushed me so far as to use this. Sorry for not getting you out of there sooner. This mist was a hell of a problem." No sooner the words left Kakashi's mouth, the green Susanoo moved one of his arms with a huge amount of force, which created an equally large force of wind that blew the mist away. Not that Naruto hadn't tried one of his wind jutsus, but Zabuza just kept pulling it back up, so it was no use. "No use apologizing now. When we get back, the treat is on you for the whole month," Shursui said to Kakashi, who just nodded. "Now to finish up with you," Shursui spoke as the green mammoth began to move towards the swordsman. With a swing from the sword of the ethereal warrior, the ground beneath Zabuza cracked, the said man barely escaping on time. Just as soon as Zabuza landed, he was met with another strike. This one couldn't be blocked, and hence the executioner's blade was sacrificed, with the latter breaking in half on contact, but was able to provide enough time for Zabuza to escape. Zabuza jumped away, though he was shaking? What the hell, Naruto and Sasuke thought together, breaking out of the Susanoo-induced stupor. "This," Shursui spoke with a sagely voice, "is the strongest ability granted to a Mangekyo Sharingan user. Surrender to the might of the Susanoo." Zabuza grunted in defiance. "Don't you think that it is a bit of an, for the lack of a better word, overkill? Huh? Besides, I personally don't think that it's worth the damage. Kakashi spoke from behind him, leisurely. Shursui grunted too, but it had to be done before he became much of a threat to the team. Wait, Kakashi-sensei, what damage? And please do tell everything you know about that sweet technique that Shursui-sensei is using right now, Sasuke spoke, as he was mentally registering all of this to rub it in Naruto's face later on. Kakashi looked like he might as well be reading a book. Since you have seen it already, you might as well know about it. He literally turned from the battle and began to explain the theory behind Susanoo to the kids. He must have some serious trust in that ability to do so. Listen well, Susanoo is a gigantic, humanoid being made of the user's chakra that surrounds them and fights on their behalf, as I'm sure you can see for yourself right now. It is the strongest ability available to those who have the Mangekyo Sharingan, though it is said to be rare to achieve. In order to use this ability, the wielder must have awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan in both eyes. Kakashi finished while pointing towards his left eye. At the nod from both the pre-genins, he continued, when activated, Susanoo forms around the user and becomes an extension of their will, acting and attacking on their behalf. By default, Susanoo is anchored to its user and they to it, simply meaning that it will move around with the user. This connection allows Susanoo to shield against physical attacks. Kakashi said. Stars were coming out of Sasuke's eyes, and he was drooling. Naruto was literally steaming with jealousy. Shursui was chasing a screaming Zabuza. Kakashi sought to steal some more fun from the duo and continued. Although Susanoo is quite effective as a defense, it is able to distinguish in what it blocks. For example, the user can still perform jutsu while within the Susanoo and the attacks will pass through it without complications. Others can be brought within Susanoo with the user's permission, and users can likewise choose to leave its protective envelope. Naruto's face was priceless. You could have made a pack of instant ramen with the amount of heat generated by him within a few seconds. Sasuke looked like his ego just got boosted by 10k. I should probably bring Sasuke back to ground before he goes beyond the limit, thought Kakashi and hence continued. Susanoo is also only able to defend against physical attacks, so they are still vulnerable to visual or auditory attacks. So long as it is active, Susanoo draws on the user's chakra in large amounts. This looked like it might have worked. Don't look at me like that, whisker face. I can up my chakra stores for that, Sasuke defended to a now wiggly-eyed Naruto. Okay, it didn't work as planned. Some additional ego demolition was required. You know, Shursui once described the sensation of using Susanoo to me. It was as if he was feeling pain in every cell in his body, which only increases over time and at higher developmental stages. Kakashi spoke. Sasuke got goosebumps. Kakashi continued, also, being a Mangekyo Sharingan-based ability, it also places a strain on the user's eyes the more it is used, so you can't just sleep with your Susanoo on, even if you have godly reserves. Ooh, this worked. You know that you can't fight me blinded. Ha 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 ha, Naruto was rubbing it in Sasuke's face now, the latter looking like he was deprived of his birthright. But they got over it soon. Sensei? Naruto asked. Yup, Kakashi replied. Didn't you say something about pain and eye strain on using the Susanoo? Naruto asked. Yes, I did. How about it? You both go check on him, Kakashi replied, pointing towards the direction where the head of the Susanoo could be seen. While I keep our friend Haku some company over here, he offered. Though this seemed like a bizarre idea, sending 2 kids after an A-class missing Nin, while the A-rank Jonin just chilled here with Haku, pun intended, it was actually Shursui's request to send them after him while he wore down Zabuza a bit. If they wanted, they could have finished him alone, but the experience, as they decided, was necessary for the kids. Besides, Kakashi can intervene if needed. And so we find the duo speeding towards their would-be target. Meanwhile, just moments before Sasuke and Naruto arrived, Shursui let his Susanoo fade away and moved towards Zabuza, who was on the ground, panting. Why don't you finish up, huh? Do you plan to torture me? To get secrets out? Zabuza had to put on his not caring about my life mask as the natural defense against interrogators. No, Shursui replied, massaging his bleeding eyes. Zabuza blinked. We have 2 students who were able to beat your Hayaton user. We wish for them to fight you, to enhance their experience and to measure just how far have they come. As you might have noticed, we were holding back in our fight against you back then. It was all just to set up this battle between you and them. 2 Konoha Academy graduates against the demon of the bloody mist. How does that sound? Shursui asked. I did think there was something fishy going on when I was able to take down both of you. But what do I get in return of your offer? I want a fair deal if WRE gonna play this game. Zabuza said. Doesn't leaving you alive count as a bargaining chip? Shursui mock asked, and at the blunt denial from Zabuza, he continued, well, Konoha knows all about the current condition of the mist. And I mean everything. About the insane Mizukage and all that. The 2 Jonin currently in this area, know about your true intentions for the mist, to find a new and better Mizukage and to liberate the village. Isn't it? Zabuza was left wide-eyed. So I make you this offer, fight them, and Konoha will support you. How about it? Shursui asked in pure Umbu business mode. Zabuza thought about it for a while and then nodded. But once established, we won't have Konoha meddling with our policies and all that stuff, Zabuza said as he got up. We want nothing more than a complete alliance with the mist in return. Shursui spoke as he got back and held his eyes again, signifying the deal to be completed and the arrival of Naruto and Sasuke. Zabuza stood up as he slipped a soldier pill underneath his bandaged mouth and applied his blood to his executioner's blade, fixing it up for battle once more. Present. Sasuke arrived holding Shursui, and Naruto threw a simple wind jutsu at Zabuza to force him back. Seems like you got too full of yourself with your Susanoo active, didn't you, sensei? Sasuke asked as he placed him on a branch behind them. So now we take charge, Naruto spoke in his leader-like voice. Ha! Don't kid yourself, brat. I took them down, I take you brats on too, Zabuza mocked them. We'll see about that, Sasuke spoke as they both vanished. Zabuza was hard-pressed to locate them when suddenly, Sasuke impacted him with his Chikudo unsheathed. Zabuza blocked with his blade, but it was a powerful strike, so he skidded back. From behind him came Naruto's voice, wind style, vacuum wave. Sasuke jumped back a second before and Zabuza took the full force of the strike on his leg as he attempted to jump away. Naruto, combo R0 now, shouted Sasuke. Got you, Naruto shouted back, and Zabuza was instantly turned into a ping-pong ball. Just as soon as he heard those words, a Naruto clone burst up from the ground and held Zabuza's legs, surprising him. Naruto redirected himself in midair as he came towards Zabuza with a chakra-charged fist. Zabuza was barely able to block the strike, but felt his bone crack a bit as he sailed through the air right into Sasuke's awaiting electrified Chikudo. Sasuke swung his Chikudo with both hands, but Zabuza managed to block with his executioner's blade. Sasuke, being swift, kicked him back to Naruto as soon as their weapons made contact. Naruto chanted wind style, pressure damage, and threw the jutsu just below the spot in the middle of the air, where Zabuza was right now, effectively sucking him down into it. Sasuke shouted at just that instant fire style, fireball jutsu, and threw it right after Zabuza, into the tornado. The resulting explosion was extremely large. But Zabuza managed to switch with a water clone, which was made just seconds before his ambush, just in time to avoid being a pile of ash. But just as he thought he got a breather, Naruto was upon him again and started to furiously attack him with his taijutsu. Zabuza was hard-pressed to barely even block the strikes, but thanks to his superior experience and physique, he managed to parry one of his quick arms and was about to bring up his blade to hack at Naruto. But at right that instant, Sasuke's Chikudo made its way in intercepting the blade and knocked it out of its path. The Chikudo was now grabbed by Naruto as he began to leave gashes on Zabuza. But the demon parried another one of his attacks and hit him with a punch to the shoulder. Naruto staggered a bit. Right that instant, Zabuza got hit with a kick to his gut by Sasuke. Just as he felt pain rush through him, he got a chance to slice at Sasuke, who was busy rebalancing himself after the kick, which he took. Naruto, never one to be left behind Sasuke in swiftness, and helped Sasuke. Just as the blade was brought up to Sasuke's shoulder length, at that instant Sasuke's Chikudo landed back in its owner's hand, courtesy of Naruto, and he parried the strike and struck once again with full force, which gave Naruto the chance to charge up his fist with chakra. Zabuza, getting tired of being overpowered by the kids, decided to take Sasuke out and shifted his attention to the said boy. Big mistake. Naruto got the chance just as Zabuza blocked Sasuke's kick with one arm and was about to swing his blade with the other. The blonde jumped and knocked Zabuza with his dense chakra-charged fist, sending the swordsman flying into a tree behind him, knocking him out cold. The duo laid panting on the floor. It was exhausting to KO a missing Nin within a span of 60 seconds. Shursui started clapping. Kakashi joined them soon, followed by a limping Haku whose injuries had been aided by Kakashi. What the hell is going on? Sasuke asked, still panting. I would love an answer to that too. Shursui-sensei was damaged badly and Haku was supposed to be a bad guy. So why he is all chill with you guys? Pun totally intended. Naruto asked. Let's bring you guys up to speed, Kakashi said, and explained all the strategy by Konoha and the test which was implemented during their fight with Zabuza. Let's just say that if Naruto and Sasuke weren't too sore with the continuous fighting, they would have given both the Jonins an earful on team dynamics and trust within a unit. Thankfully for the Jonins, before the duo could conjure the strength to get up and act on their thoughts, Gato was seen arriving at the scene along with his army. And when he saw all the commotion with his hired assassin laying on the ground, he had woken up sometime between the explanation. He just exploded with anger and insulted Haku, Zabuza, the kids, and all ninjas in general. Needless to say that his army was slaughtered and Gato was forced to give up the locations of his fortunes and his demise due to head loss, courtesy of a Haku-protective Zabuza. So do you remember our deal, right? Kakashi asked just as Zabuza and Haku were about to depart. Yes, I do, Zabuza spoke. However, I hope that Leaf will also hold up their end of the bargain. Kakashi nodded. Then Zabuza spoke, turning to the two academy graduates. And I will look forward to seeing you both in action someday, while fighting beside me. Trust me, I've had enough of you guys, he joked. Sasuke slightly blushed and Naruto gave his big smile in return. Haku didn't say anything in return and just reminded them of the fact that true strength comes from the will to protect someone, something which the kids took by heart. Finally, they bid their farewell and Zabuza and his apprentice left, aiming to gather support for their coup. And our team from Konoha departed towards Tezuna's house, tired as hell. They even received their clone's memories, which showed them of the little run-in they had with a group of Gato-acquired samurais. It was easy as hell to beat them, but now they barely had the strength to walk up to that place. Chapter 10. They even received their clone's memories, which showed them of the little run-in they had with a group of Gato-acquired samurais. It was easy as hell to beat them, but now they barely had the strength to walk up to that place. Surprisingly enough, it took them nothing more than the better part of half an hour to reach their desired place, Tezuna's home. It was a moderate place, one-storied house, near woods, fresh air, and most of all, food. Naruto spoke. I smell food. Sasuke, come on. The blonde spoke while starting to gain speed, convincing the Uchiha to catch up to him in the name of food, something that they severely needed. The door was knocked only twice, yet Sasuke was out of patience and decided to knock it down using his remaining strength. Consequences be damned. I'm starving, thought Sasuke as he was about to give it a powerful push. But, as luck would have it, before the Ravenhead had any chance to apply force, the door opened. And it opened, revealing a brown-haired beauty. She looked to be in her late 20s or early 30s and had a great figure. It wouldn't be surprising to know that she was complimented several times by the villagers, including perverts. Rather, saying mostly by the perverts would be more specific. Therefore, she had developed a habit of utterly flattening heads by using her pan that she carried with her at an unidentified place. Unfortunately, poor Sasuke didn't know those details, and his hands landed directly on the breast portion of the said female. Since the woman was a bit behind than the location of his intended target, there was hardly any force behind his hands. Due to the same factor, he almost tripped and ended up grabbing the breastplate for balance. The woman stopped dead in her way of greeting the guests when she suddenly adopted a neutral face. For those familiar with Tsunami, Her face perfectly represented the calm before a storm about to arrive in the form of a vicious beating to a certain ravenhead. Sasuke, for his part, was confused. At first, he didn't know what the hell was wrong with their teachers, what with the so-called test during a mission. Against Zabuza of all people. Then they had to travel a shit lot of a distance, actually being just 2 miles, in their tired and starved state. When they finally reached Tezuna's house, they smelt food, but no one was answering the damn door. And when he tried to kick down the door seemed to move on its own and turn surprisingly soft and curvy, if you know what I mean. He didn't get all of that. Neither was he able to comprehend the spontaneous cases of severe pain originating in different places of his body which, as he deduced, were being caused by an unseen force as everything turned black just after the first hit to his face, just as he had managed to balance himself with the surprisingly soft doorknob. He could faintly make out the sounds of Naruto's voice screaming at someone to stop, and it wasn't his fault, and let me explain. And then some sounds of the said blonde screaming in agony from probably being assaulted by the same person. He woke up several hours later. Meanwhile, Naruto managed to successfully calm down an enraged Tsunami, as introduced by Tezuna, who was under the impression that Sasuke was a foo and #NG pervert, as colorfully evident from her descriptions of the Uchiha. Kakashi and Shisui made a mental note to teach the students about women and how to deal with them. Meanwhile, Tsunami greeted the other members with relative hospitality and was about to serve the dinner. Sasuke decided to join them at about that time after spending his share in the dream world and had received an apology from Tsunami afterwards. Though the Uchiha always kept extremely alert after that incident whenever Tsunami was within a 10-meter range. The dinner was a quiet affair and Kakashi and Shisui were discussing with Naruto and a still sleepy Sasuke about their new training regiment. Sometime in between, Inari burst in to arrange his utmost to discourage any attempts at stopping Gato and his army. The poor boy left the area embarrassed and blushing afterwards, knowing the fact that these little children and the 2 idiots who cannot defeat Gato had in fact dispatched the said man and were going to make a raid at his office the day after tomorrow. Though they didn't know, Naruto and Sasuke had gotten their first official fanboy after this. Though Inari held more respect for Naruto than Sasuke after seeing him for the first time, that too looking a lot like a man with a bun growing out the duck-butt hairs of his. That kind of a first impression did not avail much respect points. After dinner, the Jonins shared a room whereas Naruto and Sasuke did the same. The next day, Tezuna's house could pass for a regular house, if not for the fact that it had currently 4 ninjas residing in it. And hilarious stuff seemed to be happening with those residing ninjas. Early in the morning, at about 4, a messenger bird came in with a letter having Shisui's name written in italic format on it. The letter was encased in a pink envelope with hearts printed all over it. To make the contents any more obvious, it smelled really nice. In a feminine way, of course. Even the hawk delivering it seemed to be recently recruited, as it was a noisy one. It arrived making loud noises and began to continuously tap on the window of Shisui's and Kakashi's shared bedroom. The said noise being enough to wake all the residing ninjas of the place. No sooner than the bird left the house, Shisui was assaulted by Naruto and Sasuke and lost his letter. Upon further investigation, it was revealed that our extremely innocent, true to God, and the ever-philosophizing Shisui was in fact a not-so-decent man. The letter was read by the small circle that was formed by Shisui sitting up against the wall and Kakashi, Naruto and Sasuke flanking him in order to prevent his escape. And needless to say, it was a letter rated somewhere in the M category that would have made Jiraiya proud. Poor Shisui wouldn't live to hear the end of it. In my own defense, Shisui spoke as he was painfully aware of the astonished/disgraceful/cheeky eyes on him, depending if you were speaking of Naruto or Sasuke or Kakashi. I was on an undercover mission at that time, and she was supposed to be my tour guide. He spoke, trying to get those prying eyes off of him. Yet you couldn't keep your hands to yourself during your time spent there. Kakashi spoke in a smart-ass tone. I'm proud of you. In fact, would you like to read some of the novels that I carry? As inspirational material for your future encounters, of course. Sasuke, and by extension Naruto, took every opportunity to make him realize just how deep a shit that messenger bird had gotten him into. Opportunity 1. So what do you think, Kakashi? Should we make them do some strength training today? Shursui asked when they went out after the whole letter fiasco. Was all the response he got from the Jonin. Okay, great, Shursui sulkingly spoke after witnessing a severe lack of enthusiasm. Listen up. Get started with crunches. The most basic and one of the most effective ways to build your abs like mine. He spoke in a rather uncharacteristic sense and flashed them with his abs. O-W-O-W, Sasuke purposefully drawled out. Those look wonderful, Naruto caught on. No wonder that lady was talking about her tongue on your biscuits. Sasuke left the sentence incomplete. Oh, kinky, Kakashi winked towards Shursui. He flushed pink. Opportunity 2. Would you pass that salt, Sasuke? Kakashi said as he was handed the dispenser by Sasuke, who couldn't seem to be able to look at his own cereal that he got for breakfast. What's wrong with you, Sasuke? Did a fly jump into your milk? Tsunami asked, looking concerned at the boy who actively avoided his food for some reason. No, Tsunami-san. It's nothing. I just don't seem to be in the mood for milk and cereal right now. Sasuke cryptically spoke. And why is that? Shursui spoke, not aware what he was getting himself into. Sasuke glared at him. Come on. You can tell me, Naruto said. He hesitated a bit but eventually replied, but in a lower than usual voice. It's just that, after reading that letter in the morning, I can't look at milk in the same way again. I never thought milk for the pussy could imply a hell lot more. And for someone to actually sit in a filled saucer and say Mio? He zoned out, looking green. Naruto, who just had taken a mouthful of the cereal, suddenly went to throw up. Shursui looked like a gaping fish which had glowing red cheeks. Oh, kinky, Kakashi winked towards Shursui. Opportunity 3. Alright, now we are going to take your chakra control and endurance to the maximum by this exercise, Shursui spoke as he demonstrated them by walking up to a tree and climbing it via chakra usage and hang by his legs from one of the branches. You have to keep this position till dinner, and while you're at it, practice your katas. And Shursui paused to try to think of anything more difficult to get revenge on their actions since the morning. Yup, you have to hang those huge rocks from your shoulders via chakra threads. That should be one of the most toughest chakra control exercises to exist, Shursui marveled at his revenge. The duo, however, did not take this well. So, as payback embarrassment, well, the weights and upside down hanging separately would be fine, but Naruto, you go for it. I can't speak, it's just so embarrassing. Sasuke spoke. Naruto took his cue. What he meant was, we would love to do them separately, but when you combine them, hanging upside down from a branch while lifting something, just reminds me of certain adventures of yours that you performed with that tour guide. The one when you both were in a forest, hanging upside down while holding her and doing some unmentionable things while being void of clothes. For hours on end nonetheless. Naruto finished his wisecrack. Oh, kinky, Kakashi winked again. Shursui just flushed and sighed. Opportunity 4. The duo, after doing that exercise for about 2 hours, decided that it was enough for one day. We want to do something else, Naruto spoke to Kakashi, who was reading his novel while purposefully reading out loud certain scenes as Shursui was trying his best to keep his nosebleeds in check. The kids obviously weren't near enough to hear that. Well, since you both seem to have grown bored of it, why don't you study these scrolls? It never hurts to have the knowledge. Kakashi spoke, focusing on the knowledge part. Shursui decided that he needed some clearing of mind and decided on giving advices. I agree and think that you should read up on all the different jutsus. Having versatility is extremely helpful, especially if your mission requires you to do those things. Shursui spoke whilst glancing Kakashi to get his point across. Yeah, sure, the kids spoke. Kakashi had his defenders. Versatility coming from you? Sasuke, we've got ourselves a true guru, Naruto said. Yup, what with taking into account the fact that the tour guide literally forgot how many times she had to change her position within a week that you spent with her. Sasuke supplied. Through an impulse gained within that day, Shursui looked up to Kakashi and waited. Oh, kinky, Kakashi winked. Shursui could have rivaled Hinata well within the month if he kept the blushing up. In his utterly embarrassed state, he asked the two genins, Kakashi, I can understand. But aren't you two a little too young to be able to understand all of this? The boys looked at each other and then back at Shursui. Wheel, Aya. You see, when I read it in a. My mom was talking to Itachi when. The excuses. He knew he got them. The blushing teens did not tease him again. So, the one-eyed Jonin spoke. Kakashi, on the other hand, you even know how to handle kids? You are on the right path, my friend. Well, he was Shursue's senior for a reason. The next day, almost the entire village came out to give the ninjas their farewell after they came to know about the work done by them. They were celebrating Gatu's death and the independence of Wave. And the credit went to these shinobi. Thank you guys for protecting me and saving Wave. I cannot begin to express my happiness. My country, plagued for so long, is now finally free. And it's all thanks to you guys. Tazuna spoke with tears in his eyes. Naruto and Sasuke and I wanted to apologize for my past actions. I was a fool. I shouldn't have doubted you guys. Inari spoke. Naruto gave a warm smile and ruffled his hair while Sasuke just patted him on the back. Nothing is impossible. You have shown me that, and I will work hard to achieve my grandpa's dream. I will also make you guys proud. That's my dream, Inari exclaimed with happiness. With that, they departed Wave, ready to go back to their lives in Konoha. As they saw the diminishing forms of the Konohanin, Tazuna spoke up, after all this. I think I have a name for the bridge. The villagers asked, curious. He spoke the name with immense pride as he officially inaugurated the bridge, the Great Konoha Bridge. Wait, Kakashi-sensei, we forgot about the raid that we were going to do at Gatu's offices. Naruto wisely reminded the whole group. Shit, we totally forgot about that. Sasuke gave his thoughts. The two Jonins smirked. Yeah, we kind of took care of it, Kakashi replied. At the still bewildered expressions of the two pre-Genins, he gave the most obvious answer, you'll see. Omake. The letter. My dear Shursukuin, I dream of you nightly, I think of you daily. Such wonderful intimacy we share, no covering up, complete vulnerability. To possess such passion and desire within, to experience such intimacy with someone, is intoxicating. We both have questioned the norm in this relationship because it exceeds all expectations and boundaries. What a joy it was to make love to each other passionately. What joy we took in discovering the pleasures of each other's bodies. It's exciting and thrilling to know that we desire each other so much. Your kisses are like the breeze whispering over my lips. Gentle, fluttering, soft. At other times, they're demanding and stormy, and always equally passionate. I feel breathless and yet so alive. When we were in the ocean kissing, I had no qualms about slipping you inside me and letting the waves take us to the brink of ecstasy. I wanted you to pull over so I can pleasure you with my mouth, taste you, devour you. When we were in the forest, you took me upside down, your muscular body holding me and just making love to me for hours on end. I want to love you like that forever. When I need to release, I want you to sense that urgency and bring me to the very depths of carnal pleasure. I love knowing that I'm with a man I can pleasure myself in front of. Touch myself for both my enjoyment and your visual pleasure. Like the time as my hungry body fed on the milk from the saucer and you helped lick it all into me. One-sided, both sides. It's all good. I don't care what is normal for other people. I only know that I am so connected to you, so one with you that I want to make love every day. I need it as I need air to breathe or 8 hours of sleep each day. Insatiable lust, unparalleled desire. You made me forget the times I've had to change positions as you found different ways to please me. We have so much chemistry together that normal has been redefined. Sincerely and eagerly waiting for your vacations again. Your beloved. The Tour Guide. Chapter 11. You'll see. Flashback. Two figures moved silent into the night, jumping through the trees and towards a big establishment present just near the shore. The mercenaries hired to guard the place indulged themselves with booze and other worldly pleasures, blissfully unaware of the impending disaster. Gatu was due to arrive any hour. He had gone just a few hours ago to finish off his deal with Zabuza and that little pipsqueak that tailed him. The man never intended to keep his end of the deal. The only people he paid properly and honestly were his guards. The guards that protected him and his mansion. The ruckus came to an immediate halt as two figures emerged from the woods. A bruised Gatu and one of his henchmen came strolling into the view. Gatu's suite was torn in a few places and he had a few cuts along the exposed parts of his body. His henchman was even worse. He had a broken arm, quiet visibly so, as it was dangling at an awkward angle. He was walking with a limp. The guards blinked once then rushed forward towards their employer to aid him. Gatu-sama W, what happened? Did you kill those guys? But Gatu only raised a single hand, making a gesture for silence. Immediately the ruckus died down. Fetch me Hayabusa, Gatu spoke in a voice almost too weak to be audible. The nearest man ran inside to fetch the so-called Hayabusa. Get me to my office, he commanded again. The guards were confused but were smart enough not to question a direct command from the midget. They lifted him along with his chair and carried him to the office. Once there, a woman vaguely resembling a nurse with her outfit came rushing in and started to apply the necessary treatment to his wounds. Then came in Hayabusa. He was a tall, pale man with a lean build, wearing not too noteworthy clothes, just a plain deep blue shirt with hakama pants. Though the interesting part is that he was from a ninja background. His father was in the Umbu forces of Kiri when he was young, but with the start of the bloodline purge and his father's subsequent demise, his family moved out of Kiri and settled in a nearby town. Though he was given ninja training at an early age by his father no less, he was till date a person with skill equivalent to Chunin level. As he was not involved in any training program per se, he was technically not a ninja. Though when in that town, he pursued studies and became a financial agent, who was now working for Gatu. The pale man went up to the bruised Gatu and bowed. You ordered my presence, Gatu-sama? Hayabusa asked. Yes, I did, Gatu asked, trying to move in his seat. Those leaf scum managed to kill my entire army. Those monsters. His face grew fearful with each passing word. But just before they left, they said to me something that I will not forget. Hayabusa frowned at this. If Gatu attacked them, then there would be no sense in leaving him alive. And even if Gatu somehow escaped them, which was highly unlikely, what could they have possibly said to make him traumatized? These aren't the effects of a genjutsu. So what could those leaf ninjas have in mind possibly? Hayabusa thought. Get all these men out first. I can see the look on your face. I will tell, but first get these lowlifes out of here. Did you not hear me the first time? Gatu shouted at the men surrounding him. The said people scrammed out of the room in a hurry. The last of them have left. Now tell me, Gatu-sama, what did they tell you? Hayabusa spoke calmly. I will, but open my safe. I want to check its contents, Gatu said. So that's why. They must have threatened his money. The pale man caught on. He went over to the desk and pressed a few buttons. The large pillar at the end of the room creaked and opened. The code was easy to type in. Anybody close to Gatu knew the code. It was the guy's birthday, the most predictable code in the world. Not that Gatu was aware of that particular fact. Wait a second. Had Gatu ever asked anyone to open his safe for him before? To fetch stuff from the open safe? Sure, but to open the safe. A few muffled screams came from outside. Shit, Hayabusa thought. Just as he was about to turn around, he felt a kunai press up his neck. For being trained by an umbu, you're pretty slow, kid, Shursui spoke before the head of the surprised agent rolled on the floor. Then, as he proceeded to tear of his disguise, a bloodied Kakashi shined at the door. All cleared up here? He asked. Yup. Did you check the outer room and stairs for any survivors? Yes, I did. Then Kakashi bumped the fallen head with his foot, causing it to roll over, showing the still surprised expression. I take it you didn't even give him a chance to understand just what did he get himself into? No, I didn't, he replied. Kakashi just stared at him. Don't give me that look, Shursui replied. I don't get all that dramatic entrances and theatricals that you talk about. It's no use talking to them or scaring them when all they have to do is die. I honestly don't get that magic talk that you like to give the victim. Why to give them time to plan their escape? I prefer to do things Umbu style. Quick, clean, effective. He finished making a slashing gesture with his tanto. Kakashi just shrugged, boring. Flashback end. And then we came home. Shursui cheerfully wrapped up their adventures at the Gata mansion. Naruto and Sasuke just gave him blank looks. What? He asked mock surprised. You mean to tell us that you didn't do anything about the money that Gata held? And what about all those goons that he had? Naruto asked. Yeah, and what about all that restoring waves economy, and all that? Sasuke continued. Actually, what our little closet pervert, the two kids snickered at that, wants to say is that… Flashback. While Shursui/Gatu was taken to his office, the henchman went limping to the guards' restroom escorted by two other guards. As soon as they reached the room, Kakashi proceeded to drop his henge and dispatch his two escorts. Then he stealthily exited the building, making quick work of the three guards stationed outside. Once outside, he threw an explosive kunai towards the other end of the clearing and shouted, "Ninjas!" effectively succeeding at causing panic and mobilizing the guards. They took the formations as accurately described by Zabuza earlier. With all that information, it would be a shame if such an accomplished Umbu wouldn't be able to take care of them. A few minutes and a bloodbath later, Kakashi shuns up to Shursui and have the so-called small talk with him, and then seals up all the bounty within scrolls and then make his way back along with the Uchiha. Back in the village, the bounty was overnightly distributed to the bank accounts of each of the villager by keeping their offsprings as well as senior citizens into account. Flashback end. And that's how we dealt with Gatu and saved the day, Kakashi said, eyeing Shursui as the latter muttered something about spoil sports. The rest of the trip was made in relative silence, though tension increased exponentially as the team headed back to Konoha. Each step towards their home seemed to increase the uneasiness. The source of the uneasiness being the now progressively brooding two preteens. The two jonins quickly caught on to the mood change. When not more than 3 miles out of Konoha gates, the elders nodded and proceeded to stealthily chop the necks of their charges and knocking them out. Before leaving for the mission, Kakashi and Shursui had agreed to this course of action if the kids started to display such changes in behavior. It was an enigma really what time out of the village can do to these kids. Inside the village walls they were burdened with expectations and sibling comparisons shoved in their face at all times. Whereas outside, they were little balls of sunshine. Well, not always. But it's a drastic improvement from their time inside the village. But even they were not to blame. Anyways, the jonins proceeded to check in the village with two bodies slumped over their shoulders. We were training them on the way here, Shursui answered Kotetsu's, one of the eternal gate guards, unasked question when Kakashi seemed to be in his one of the rare excuse void times. Oh, I see. Well then, off you go. Hokage-sama has been expecting you. Izumo shooed them off to the Hokage tower. The jonins nodded and leapt off to the tower. You know what, Kotetsu? I wonder just what is so special about these brats? Izumo asked his partner. Dude, they are the kids of influential people and heirs to influential clans. But still, you're right, I don't think that they would be strong enough to take the place of experienced genin on C-ranked missions. Kotetsu answered. Maybe they're just strong, Izumo supplied. Or maybe their parents are pulling the strings, Kotetsu said, all the while watching the retreating leaps of the jonin as they went to the tower. Minato patiently waited the arrival of the two jonins in his office. He had been waiting for his kids' return for a few days now. A few days earlier he had had a heated argument with Kushina on the subject of the kids, though Kushina vehemently denied all the accusations that were made on her, but eventually it got through her thick skull. And she did the one thing she hadn't done since being married to the blonde. She broke down crying, trying to crave up all the memories that she shared with the boy, but finding almost none. This made her cry even harder. That night Minato left Naruto at the Hyuga compound so she could avoid all that. And in contrast to the atmosphere back home, Naruto and Hinata were planning something special for the return of their beloved blonde. Chapter 12. I'm treading through the woods, covered in blood. I'm afraid. I need to escape before it finds me again. I can barely lift my feet as I take each step. The woods are dense, so each time I stumble, I reach out to the trees to stop myself from falling. My hands slamming against the coarse, unforgiving bark. My hands are red. As the trees begin to clear, I see some light. I'm anxious about where the light is coming from, but my fear of being alone is stronger, so I decide to take my chances. I make my way to the source of the light. It's an old couple with a bright lantern in hand. Its brightness burning my eyes, but I can still make out the two figures standing. One of them must have noticed me as I hear a muffled scream. The one nearest to me moves ahead and shields the other from me with his arms. He wearily asks me if I'm okay and if I need help. I tell him I'm running from something, and that they should leave because it's not safe. He asks me what I'm running from, but I don't answer. It doesn't matter now as it's too late. It has finally caught up to me. And as the familiar feeling of bloodlust consumes me, I smile and take a step towards the couple. Now that they can see me more clearly in the light, the man, visibly more panicked than before, asks me, "Whose blood is that?" "Not mine," I reply as I lunge forwards. Sasuke woke up covered in cold sweat, breathing heavily. What the hell was that? He looked around to see that he was at home in the Uchiha compound, in his sleeping pajamas and all, though no memory of how he got there. He looked out through the window and realized that it was about 4 to 5 in the evening. What the hell happened? I remember moving towards home and then, nothing. Something must have happened during then. He pondered. Whilst he was busy figuring out just what was wrong with him, the door creaked open. Up so early? Sasuke bobbed his head towards the source of the voice. The voice dripping with playful sarcasm that Sasuke would recognize anywhere sourced back to Shursui, pocking his head in through the door, expertly making his way through the room with a tray on hand. Shursui sat the tea tray on the table besides the bed and plopped down it beside Sasuke. Apparently Blondie woke up about an hour or so ago and stormed right out of his house. No idea where he went. We were hoping you would kinda help with that. Shursui spoke with a sheepish expression marking his face. Sasuke looked at him once. He had just woken up and was still trying to make sense of what was going on when suddenly Shursui waltzes in and babbles out a bunch of stuff which included Naruto. It took a complete minute of silence for his brain to process it all. And when it did, "What am I? His babysitter?" Sasuke said before laying back onto his bed, head buried in the pillow trying to fight off an upcoming headache. When another minute of silence passed, Sasuke let out a deep muffled sigh. Check behind the first's head. He answered the question lingering in the air. Already did. It proved less than fruitful. Shursui gave his reply. Not above it, behind it. He tunneled through the ear a few days after he learned the headhunter jutsu, Sasuke said. This time his voice sounding irritated. Shursui nodded and was about to head back out when Sasuke stopped him. Would you mind explaining what the hell did you guys do to us? And I know it's us, because you said earlier that Naruto ran off after he woke up. Sasuke questioned his brother/sensei. Shursui smiled gently with a hint of mischief buried. Don't want him to spill the beans, he said and shined out of the room. Sasuke groaned in reply and thumped his bed. Just how did Naruto have such ungodly stamina to wake up an hour before him and running off with that severe soreness of neck that he too would have probably been facing? Just when he was about to shift positions to accommodate his neck better, his eyes fell on a piece of paper that no doubt Shursui had left behind. He reached out to the paper and grabbed it, pulling it up to reading level. It was a copy of a mission report. Curious, he began going through its contents before leaving it to float down to the floor once again. Those sly bastards were his last thoughts before he went to rest his eyes once again. The rumbling in his stomach could wait. He needed some more shut-eye before all else and try to pry on that dream some more. Meanwhile, an hour ago with Naruto. The blonde was not happy. In all honesty, he liked Wave better. Well, not completely, but it was certainly free of certain characters that he liked less here. Though he would miss Inari. The boy actually held Naruto in high regards for his own strengths and not his father's. When he woke up, he realized that it was late afternoon. He lazily shifted his eyes from the offending source of light to his other surroundings and came to the conclusion almost immediately. He was back in Konoha and in his room. He shifted his neck a bit and found out that it was a bit sore, thus making it difficult to move. The obvious thing crossed his mind next. What the hell happened? He vaguely remembered jumping back towards Konoha with his team/family, when all went blank. The only different thing that he recognized was his sore neck and his clothes. He too was in his pajamas. Just as he found the strength to shift and stand on his legs, the door opened and it revealed Kushina with a weary face. Now that was a surprising twist. Not once can he remember his mother coming to check up on him. Though once when he was sick she did, not considering the fact that so was Naruto, and they shared the same room. Naruto got these thoughts out of his head quickly and greeted his mother, fending off the dull headache. But he could see the amount of uneasiness that flowed off of her. Kushina stepped in through the door and stood there, eyeing the room curiously. A full minute passed by and Naruto's already bumped head would not take any more of this. As you can see, I have a perfectly clean room and the clothes are all folded, so I don't see why you are still standing there. He already had a hard time recovering from the apparent chop to the neck by one of his senseis and wanted to find a very good reason behind it too for their own sake. He didn't want to worry about a gloating mother right now. Kushina wanted to yell at him for this but stopped herself when she remembered that she did not possess such authority over him. She felt a pair of hands touch her back calmly and a voice was heard. Now Naruto and I, is that any way to treat mother? Naruto piped up from behind her as she too joined the room. Naruto was supposed to be at the Hyuga compound till later tonight. Enough time to try and make amends with Naruto, but she was glad nonetheless. Naruto's expressions softened up immediately upon seeing the face of his sister, and a welcoming smile adorned his features. "Sue, how was the mission?" she asked as she maneuvered to the side of his bed with a glass of water in her hands. "Thanks," Naruto mumbled and downed the entire glass, only now realizing how thirsty he was. Kushina was shocked as she saw her son's behavior do a complete 180 when talking to Naruto. Nowhere was the expressionless, indifferent mask to be found. "I will tell all about it." But he cast a sideways look to Kushina. "But right now Mom's got some important business with me," he said and turned completely towards Kushina. "So what is it, Mom?" Naruto purposefully stretched out the last word. Kushina was caught off guard by this. Has the rift already grown this big? She thought guiltily. It seems Minato was right after all. Flashback the night before. "Why did you send Ruko-chan to the Hyugas?" "I was going to make her ramen tonight, you know," Kushina said, closing the door, irritated at her husband's sudden choice of action. They had just dropped off Naruto to the Hyuga compound and she was going to stay there till tomorrow night due to some quality time he wanted to spend with her. Minato sighed. "This is one of the major reasons of that, Kushina. You spoil her too much," Minato said, looking at his wife.